across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello. Yeah, me back in my proper time slot now, and well, I say that because I was meant to be starting at 11, but I'm here at 10, and I'm here at 10 all week, just so you know. I think that's what's happening, but it will. So it's a big show tonight because we're talking about the weather. We're talking about Keir Starmer. We've got Cody Darla in. He's going to be here going through the papers. And there's so much to pack into this. And of course you, because at the top of the hour of midnight, it is your chance to talk back. So I really, really want to hear your voices on this, because when we look at the state of the world at the moment, the state of the world, the sort of... I just was shocked at the weekend. And by the way, two things can be true at the same time. I'm talking about Maduro, who clearly was a vile dictator, right? He was a vile dictator and had no business running the country into the ground the way that he did. But also, what Donald Trump did is worrying. That he would just break into another country. I mean, look, if you look at Iran, when we talk about the Ayatollah, and we've always said to the Iranian people, look, we will support you, but it is up to you to effect regime change. And that has been the international way. It has been the law. It has been the way countries are safe, if you like, from external influence to that degree. And when you've got Donald Trump saying, yeah, but you know, he was a bad man, and the man in Cuba's a bad man, and I'm going to go after Cuba, Colombia, Mexico, I want Greenland. It's worrying to see that he is now emboldened by this action that was taken by America at the weekend. It's extremely worrying because he's done it for oil, and we know that. We know that it's about oil. He's made no secret of that in recent days and weeks. He said it's about oil. And we have a situation now where other countries are at risk of, in that hemisphere, of Donald Trump just deciding who should be in charge. And that's never gone well. Regime change has never gone well for America. It's never gone well for any of us to try and effect regime change. What happens next in Venezuela? Who knows? But the question I have for you for midnight is Keir Starmer the Prime Minister that we need, given the rapid changes to the axis of power in the world at the moment? Because make no mistake about it, what Donald Trump has just done has emboldened Putin and Xi. And Xi may be saying, keep your hands off Venezuelan oil. We've pumped billions into that. That's ours. It's actually Venezuela's, but, you know. But they want Taiwan. And who's going to push back on Taiwan if they take Taiwan? No one. Russia. He's emboldened now to do what the heck he likes. That's just it. That's fine. The United Nations are powerless. International law is meaningless. And NATO is on its knees. Is he the right man? Do you trust him with the safety and security of this country? Is it time that he just stood up to Donald Trump and said, you broke the law? We didn't like Maduro either. But you can't just sweep into a country, kidnap their leader, illegitimate as he may be, whenever you feel like it. So that's what I'm asking you at midnight. Is Keir Starmer the man that we need? If not, who is? Who would you trust in power right now with this incredibly rocky situation that we are in right now around the world. And like I said, is it time to stand up to Trump? Is it time to acknowledge that the America is not the ally it once was? It's not the country for peace that we always believed it to be. Give me a call, 0344 499 1000. Calls are charged at the national rate, but we do call you back. And you can text the word talk and your message to 87222. Getting some analysis on this now. Nicolas Maduro has pleaded not guilty. This is the latest news in court, in a New York court, to drug trafficking and other charges. One of the other charges was using guns, which I think is odd. He said that he's still the president of Venezuela and that he is a prisoner of war. The US Secretary of State Marco Rubio has insisted the US is not at war with the Latin American country. Venezuela today has sworn in Delcy Rodriguez as interim president, who was vice president under Maduro and a big Maduro supporter. Meanwhile, Donald Trump has again proposed annexing Greenland after Denmark's leader urged him to stop the threats over the island. Joining me now to discuss this is Mark Almond, a historian and author. Mark, it's such a pleasure to meet you. Thank you so much for joining me.
Good evening. Nice to talk to you.
Look, I don't know where we start with this, but I guess where we start is with the Monroe Doctrine.
Yeah.
As your historian, so called because Monroe started talking about this in 1823, but it was only called the Monroe Doctrine in 1850. And basically, my understanding is that that was concerned by America that too many Europeans were coming over to Latin American countries and taking over.
Yeah. Back in 1823, President Monroe was worried that Spain and Portugal, with the aid of big European states like Russia, for instance, and the Austro-Hungarian Empire, would try to restore the colonial rule of Spain over Mexico, Portugal over Brazil. And so he said that the United States would not accept the interference by foreign powers in the Americas. And the British, by the way, supported that. It was actually because the British Navy would have got in the way that these Europeans couldn't intervene. But what has since happened is that, first of all, in 1904, President Theodore Roosevelt said the United States had to accept that if Latin American countries defaulted on their debts or otherwise behaved in what he called a delinquent manner, the United States should use its power to make specifically Venezuela in 1904 pay up, rather than let the Germans and the British send in their gunboats to demand that their loans were repaid. Now what Donald Trump is saying is that he has what we might call the Donald Doctrine, that the United States has the right to determine the security of the whole Western Hemisphere, all the Americas, North and South, and that governments that don't want to accept US direction on this should be changed. Now, as you say, there are all sorts of reasons for thinking that Maduro's government of Venezuela was a very bad government. But the worrying situation now for Greenland, for instance, which is part of the Kingdom of Denmark, for Canada, for instance.
Canada, yeah.
It is that President Trump might really mean that he thinks countries like Canada, territories like Greenland should also be directly controlled by the United States. As he said, Venezuela was going to be controlled by America. And many Americans will support that because they have an understandable patriotic support for their president, and they will accept the argument that they're some way threatened and something must be done. But a lot of countries around the world which are friendly to America, like Denmark over Greenland, like Canada, will say, wait a minute, if our territory can be treated as if it is an enemy of the United States or an opponent of the United States like Venezuela, where will this stop? And so I think it is a very destabilizing decision by Trump. However brilliantly carried out the operation was to seize Maduro and his wife and take them out of the country, it was an exercise of military power which was quite extraordinarily skillful. But the consequence of it is that it worries friends as well as foes.
We have a situation, though, with Venezuela that countries don't want to be run by other countries, right? That's the whole point. And what legitimacy could there be for America taking over Venezuela just because it wants to, because it wants the oil? I mean, Donald Trump has clearly said they owe us and we're going to get our money back. We're going to get all of our oil back. And I'm sending in private companies who are going to make themselves very wealthy. He used the word, not America, not Venezuela, but these companies are going to make themselves very wealthy.
Well, he might hope that if the oil industry is revived by American companies, this will in some way filter down to Venezuelans and so on. The problem is...
Isn't that stealing oil?
Well, yeah. President Trump says the Chavez regime nationalized the property of American companies and therefore he stole it. But he's now talking about really controlling the oil itself, not just what had been the physical property of American oil companies. It's a basic problem that goes back a long time in history. Back in the 1790s, the French novelist Stendhal, the future novelist, was an officer on Napoleon's staff in Italy. And he said, we say we're going to liberate the people of Italy from foreign rulers. The problem is they don't want to be liberated by us.
Yeah.
And underlying this basic problem is a lot of Venezuelans, I'm sure the majority, are very unhappy with Maduro's government, particularly over the last 5-7 years when things have gone disastrously wrong economically, and he has refused to accept that people have voted against him. That said, how many of them want to be pushed around by the Yankee? Americans may have presumptions, but also Latin Americans have this. We can see Mexico's president, the president of Colombia, Petro, the president of Brazil, Silva, all are very critical of Maduro. But they are horrified by the idea that the United States can intervene and decide who's going to run the country. And then the second question is, and this is a real problem for Trump, is that he has decided to dump the Democratic opposition to Maduro and accept Maduro's vice president as the legal president. Now, she may be willing to make some kind of deal and cooperate with President Trump and with the United States. But as soon as you accept that she is the legitimate president because she was Maduro's vice president, you raise several problems. One is, well, if Maduro was president of the country, what right does the United States have to take him as a prisoner? Because we have this notion of the sovereign of a country, the president or the head of state, like King Charles, can't be put on trial, certainly not by foreigners. Now, the Americans, of course, will say, well, we think he's been doing terrible things, pushing drugs into the United States, and he deserves what's going to happen to him. But there's that legal problem that Trump has, in a way, by recognizing the successor of the vice president, Maduro, said, well, actually, Maduro was the president of the country. And that raised...
Well, exactly, because if he was illegitimate, then she is illegitimate. She's been very outspoken, though, in her support of Maduro.
Yes, because apart from anything else, the basic reality, as we can see from, I'm afraid, the failure of huge numbers of Venezuelans to come onto the streets to oppose the change of government from Maduro to his vice president, that the army, the police, the men with guns still support the regime. And so what in fact has happened is not to change regime, it's simply a decapitation, a removal of the head of the government, who might have been a very awkward customer from the point of view of the Americans. And maybe, and this is of course speculation, but it's widely said in Latin America, maybe Vice President Rodriguez, now president, did a deal with the Americans. Okay, I'll accept you can get rid of Maduro, but me and the other ministers expect to stay.
It makes a mockery of the whole pretext of the kidnap.
Yeah, you see, what we could say probably is, for all the faults of George W. Bush and the invasion of Iraq, and the false pretext of finding weapons of mass destruction turned out not to be there, he did also promise to bring democracy. And in a way, Iraq has had elections, has had a democracy.
And he also had the permission of Congress to go into Iraq, which is not something that Donald Trump got.
Yeah. I mean, it has to be said, and we may yet see this in Venezuela, that Bush and Tony Blair brought about elections in Iraq, but then 60% or so of the Iraqis voted for people that Bush and Blair wouldn't have wanted them to vote for. But that's a different thing. That's what happens when you have democracy. The people get to choose what they want. The question now is, therefore, is Trump promoting a democratic change, or is he saying the cronies of the ousted president will be so grateful to me for letting them stay in their comfortable positions that they will do what I want, regardless of what Venezuelans want.
Well, they're already talking about 80% of the oil going to the US and only 20% of it going to Venezuela.
Yeah.
Listen, I wish I could talk to you for hours on this, and we'll talk again, absolutely no doubt. But Mark, for now, thank you very much indeed. Mark Ullman there, historian and author. We are trying to get to a guest in Venezuela because we want to hear what they think, but I'm going to take a very quick break here. Give us a chance to try and connect with them in Venezuela. See you in a minute.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there, this is Talk and it is Petrie here with you until 1 o'clock, and coming up at midnight of course is our phone in, and it's your chance to talk back. So really the question is, with all that's going on in the world, and Trump has only just started really with this I don't know, these regime changes, this control of his sphere of influence. I've already seen a post gone up on social media that says, "This is my hemisphere now," with a picture of Donald Trump, and threats to Greenland as well, and threats. He's reiterated those threats. The people of Greenland are worried. The people of Denmark are worried. The people of Canada are worried. The people of Cuba are worried. The people of Colombia are worried. Mexico. So all of these areas, all these countries that Donald Trump is using the Monroe Doctrine, that he's renamed the Donroe Doctrine. It's what it was originally intended for was not this. We are trying to talk to Juan Escalante, but unfortunately he hasn't called in at the moment, so we're unable to get him. Hopefully soon we will be able to talk to Juan about what Venezuela wants now. But in the meantime, let's talk to Jacob, who's in Michigan. Hello, Jacob. How are you?
I'm doing all right, Petrie. You remember me.
I do. How's Cindy? Is she all right?
Yeah,
I love you, Petrie.
Thank you.
Yeah, I wanted to talk to you about this situation. I know it's got everybody worried, but if you think about it, it's kind of strategic that he's doing this now because China was already thinking about taking Taiwan. And then you got Russia already starting to pick fights with Europe and Ukraine and trying to get their land back that they think is theirs, which it's not anymore. And then, you also have Iran, who's actually helping flood all the European countries with migrants. And you can say that I'm wrong, but to me, it's kind of obvious because when you look at it, Iran and China and Russia had a meeting not too long before all these migrant things started. The migrants were already coming over, but it kind of
and
flooded.
for legitimate reasons, to be honest, leaving Iran, right? I mean, I wouldn't want to live there.
Well, not just Iran. Think about it. I mean, all these terrorist groups are now in. I'm sorry to say it, they're all even in the United States too. So don't get me wrong. It's no longer safe in any of our countries. So what I'm trying to say is this is pretty much he's putting his foot down and stating, I'm not going to let you try to take over countries. I'm not going to let you go ahead.
Yeah, but he's doing exactly
you're right.
that.
It is about oil. It is about oil.
It's about
But
oil.
Look at what the oil. Yes, but I'm telling you the reasons why. All that is part of it because when you look at it, where's the oil going to? It's going to Cuba. Where is Cuba sending it?
China.
Exactly.
But listen, listen.
And China needs it. And China needs it for what?
But China has also paid in billions to support the Venezuelan oil production. So they're already saying, look, hands off, we've already paid into that. And it just makes a mockery when you say, oh, he doesn't like bad people. When he has rolled out the red carpet for Putin, he calls, Kim little rocket man, and plays games on the world stage. Mm-hmm. It's all hypocrisy, and this is against international law. You can't just have people swanning into other countries and removing leaders, even if you hate those leaders. You can't. Where would the world be if everybody did that? If everybody just chose to do that, what about Greenland? If he takes Greenland because he says he needs it for security, you're going to support that?
Okay. Well, let me look. I'm former military. I know this is going to sound bad, but it's strategic. China and Russia are taking over all the oil in the Arctic Ocean, and they're moving in north. Why wouldn't they take Greenland? Nobody knows what's in Greenland. Nobody has tested Greenland for oil or anything else. It's probably got
You can't
resources.
just take another country. That's what the Nazis tried to do. They said they needed the space. They said they needed to have for the perfect, race of humans. They needed this land.
Venezuela over. Trump ain't taking Venezuela over.
He has taken Venezuela over. America's going to be running that for the foreseeable future.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm
telling you, that's going to be years.
I'm just stating this for a reason. Look, if you take Venezuelan oil away from
Venezuela,
China and Russia and Iran, they won't have the resources to flood Europe. They won't have this, I mean,
Venezuela holds 18
flowing in as much as
Venezuela
as
holds 18% of the global oil reserves. 18. Taking all of that oil and keeping it out of China's hands is not going to change fundamentally very much at all, because it's 18%. It's not 80%.
Yeah, but if you think about it, it really stumps them. it stumps them, because then they're also put on their heels because they know we will go ahead and strike where we need to strike.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, if he takes,
oh my God, what am I going to do if he comes in to get me?
If he takes
Putin's
Greenland,
going to be like, what happens if he comes to get me?
If he takes Greenland, he might find that is a red line. He might find that America isn't, it is super powerful, super military, all of that. We no longer see America as an ally, as a country. American people I love, but it's not acting very friendly, and so there will come a point where there is a red line, and what happens after that red line, I don't know.
Now let's not
can't just threaten the world
there, Petrie, because then we could also say everybody owes us money, and that is truth. Everybody, all the countries, everybody that we went to war against, everybody that.
Well, I tell you what, Jacob, we'll send you a bill.
Never given us anything back.
Well, we'll send you a bill.
On the load of everybody's problems.
Jacob, tell you what, we'll send you a bill for Iraq, because we didn't get paid for that either, and that's the truth.
That's fine.
And it's the only time that NATO Article 5 was ever actioned, was to come to the defence of America. I've got to go, Jacob, because we've managed to get Juan Escalante on the line. Juan, thank you very much indeed for joining me, Venezuelan immigrant and rights advocate. You're living currently in LA. I apologise, I thought you were still in Venezuela. Look, what does Venezuela want now? I'm pretty sure it's not to be run by America, right?
Well, thank you for the invitation. Yes, I'm based out of Los Angeles. I'm originally from Caracas, Venezuela, now a U.S. citizen. And I've been covering a lot of this as it's been happening here in the United States. The reaction from the Venezuelan people is one of celebration. I think I wrote in a blog post that I published over the weekend that I think where the big agreement about the situation in Venezuela is that people are elated and are happy that Nicolás Maduro is out. And I think that's as far as the agreement will go. People are in complete disarray in this agreement about the future of Venezuela, who is in charge and what comes next. And just kind of given the situation here in the United States about whether the United States will be involved, whether the opposition leaders like Maria Corina Machado will be involved, whether it's Marco Rubio who's be involved, is causing a lot of confusion that's clouding the path ahead.
The thing is that Donald Trump has already ruled out the opposition leader, hasn't he? Maria. He's already said, no, she's not got the backing of the people. And yet Delcy Rodriguez, who's been installed, is Maduro in female form. So I don't really understand what it is that America thinks it's doing, because by accepting her legitimacy, if they do, then they can't then say that Maduro was illegitimate.
I think you have it right entirely, mostly because of the fact that, and I'm writing about this right now, I plan to publish right after we get off the air, but I think ultimately what's happening right now is that there's a lot of mental gymnastics by the people of Venezuela, right, that have seen a leader that has been so brutal to them for so long toppled over, and they are under the impression that the Americans, that the United States government as a whole has a cohesive plan. And the unfortunate reality is that as the dust continues to settle and the more interviews are put forth, I think it's becoming increasingly clear that with Maria Corina Machado, the opposition leader who won the Nobel Peace Prize, being sidelined, that the Trump administration might just, in fact, deal with Delcy Rodriguez, who was his handpicked successor, vice president, to Nicolás Maduro, and has been a loyalist of Hugo Chávez's revolution for a number of decades now. This is not the first time that we see Donald Trump's willingness, rather, of dealing with the Maduro regime. If folks may remember back in 2020, during the first Trump administration, he very publicly said that Donald Trump did, that he did not want to deal with Juan Guaidó, the then opposition leader at the time, that he would rather deal with Nicolás Maduro himself. And now that he has, he's probably looking for a number two person to try to harass and threaten until they bend to his will. And what essentially the will be, it's hard to tell right now.
But you've also in a situation where that just makes America as an illegitimate leader of Venezuela. And the whole point was to get rid of an illegitimate leader. But if he's saying that Marco Rubio and Pete Hegseth will be running Venezuela for the foreseeable future, there is no timestamp on that. He's going to remove Venezuelan oil to pay back America. So it's looking at 80-20 at the moment, was one figure that I read, 80% to America or to the American companies and only 20% back to Venezuela. Nothing is going to improve. This isn't about freeing the people. This is again about the BRICS nations and propping up the American dollar.
I think ultimately, as we continue to witness what's happening in Venezuela itself, inside the nation, and as we continue to see reports and interviews from Marco Rubio, the Trump White House, and beyond, the picture is kind of starting to come together that potentially, putting a democratic established leader or holding elections in a very open and democratic manner may not be in the cards anytime soon. And that should worry a lot of people altogether about the future of Venezuela and ultimately, what the plan in the long term may be for Americans as they watch, a president who campaigned on no additional wars, not having longstanding conflicts and beyond, and who, for all intents and purposes, has not made it a secret that he wishes to have a Nobel Peace Prize. Now is making Venezuela essentially something of an enigmatic box where every single day we find a new breadcrumb of information and we have to decipher it for ourselves. So the next couple of days and the next couple of weeks will be very telling, both for the Americans, the global community, and the Venezuelans that are still hoping to figure out how they escape from the Maduro regime, which is now, I guess, headed by Delcy Rodriguez, his vice president.
Exactly that. I mean, nothing basically has changed. There is no change of leadership in Venezuela. And Donald Trump has said that he will deal with her as long as she bends to his will. So he becomes the Venezuelan leader by proxy.
We'll have to wait and see what tomorrow brings. Is basically my approach to things. A lot of this is coming into, right next to the holiday break here in the United States. Yeah. So the unfortunate scenario is that the situation is evolving and we're continuing to see new information, almost by the hour. So time will tell. Unfortunately, is kind of how I'm bracing to continue to see how this develops.
I just really, really hope this is a change for Venezuela. I fear it isn't, but I really hope that it is the change that they've long needed. Juan, thank you very much indeed. I won't hold you up from printing your story. Juan Escalante, Venezuelan immigrant and rights advocate living in LA, and I suspect that we'll be talking to Juan again at some stage in the not too distant future. Quick break, back in a sec.
Across the UK. On DAB+. On YouTube. On your mobile. And on your side. This is Talk.
Hello, and right now you're with Petrie, and coming up at midnight, of course, is the phone in. It is your chance to talk back, and I'm asking you, is Starmer the right man for this uncertain world? And is it time to stand up to Trump? So give me a call, 0344 499 1000. Well, joining me now to discuss whether Keir Starmer has the right stuff is Michael Crick, broadcaster, writer and journalist. Michael, it's wonderful to see you. Thank you very much indeed for joining me. That's a question. Look, we've already seen him sort of prevaricate today. He wouldn't be pinned down on whether what Trump had done was break the law. Instead, he said, well, it's up to them to justify it. Well, we know what international law looks like. We know it's quite clear, but he still couldn't and wouldn't stand up to Trump.
I know, and it's, it's quite something, isn't it, when Nigel Farage has been stronger on this than Keir Starmer. I mean, Nigel Farage pretty much admitted, when was it, on Saturday, that what Trump had done was in breach of international law, and it quite clearly is. You can't just go around invading other countries and deposing other people's leaders. If you're going to do that kind of thing, it's got to be because you're under threat, or it's got to be through the UN. And none of that applies in this particular case. And, on the one hand, I feel that Starmer needs to be tougher and he needs to be less sycophantic. And, I'm still horrified by I'm horrified by two sets of pictures from the White House.
I know what you're going to say.
Oval Office last year. Both the scene with Zelensky and then the scene with the letter from the king. Yeah. And actually, I should think even the king cringed when he saw what had happened to his letter and the way that it was.
That was embarrassing.
It was so embarrassing, and he didn't need to do that. He could have just said, there will be a letter on the way or whatever, an invitation on the way, and that would have been good enough. And he needs to be a bit bolder and a bit more like some of the European leaders. On the other hand, I feel that actually overall foreign policy has been Starmer's the best bit of his report, really, and the way in which he's played a leading role on rallying the Europeans, in all of us Europeans, in support of Ukraine and the coalition of the willing. And I think that Starmer needs to carry on doing that, particularly at a time when Macron may not have long to go, hasn't got long to go. And Merz is new in Germany. He is, a bigger figure really in Europe than he is at home. And I think that needs to continue. And if you look at the people who are in the wings, waiting to topple Starmer, Wes Streeting, Shabana Mahmood, Andy Burnham. I mean, none of them have any record really in foreign policy or defence policy. Probably most of them have never met the leaders that we're talking about, Trump and the leaders of NATO and of Europe. And Starmer certainly has. And they would have to learn all of that very, very quickly in order to catch up with where Starmer has got to, at a time when their temptation will be, if they were to replace Starmer, that they will want to concentrate on domestic stuff. None of them have been foreign secretary or defence secretary. Normally, when you have people waiting in the wings, like Michael Heseltine or Michael Portillo or Boris Johnson, they've done something on the international stage, or even Gordon Brown had done stuff on the international stage as Chancellor of the Exchequer. These are all domestic politicians waiting in the wings to topple Starmer. And my view is that it's in the interests of the country and of Europe and of the world that Starmer stays in office, even though there's a lot he's done in office I don't like, and his record is not very good. And it may well be that some of these people would improve in one or two domestic respects. But I think in terms of the international situation, which is really, really serious right now, and to his credit, by the way, Starmer did at least say, imply hands off Greenland. Greenland's future should be decided by the people of Greenland and of Denmark, not by you lot. And so I think let Starmer carry on. Let's hope he can stiffen himself a bit. I think the thing you've got to learn with bullies is you've got to stand up to them. If you look weak, as Starmer has done on a number of occasions, they're inclined to take advantage of you and disrespect you. So I think Starmer needs to toughen up a bit, and use foreign policy and the importance of playing a big role on the international stage. We are still one of the 5 permanent members of the Security Council.
But isn't he being naive at this point in not standing up to Trump now and saying, listen, mate, you know, this is you are breaking the international law here? Because if he doesn't do that, there is carte blanche now for Russia to continue doing what they're doing. They're just going, we're just doing what Trump did, right? We're liberating Ukraine from a horrible leader. And Xi, well, you know, you can't stop us from taking Taiwan now. Get your ships out of here. You're nothing to do with us. We can now take Taiwan. Isn't this, if he doesn't stand up to him now at this point, isn't this just opening the doors and the gates for these other despots around the world to do exactly what they want? Sorry, that's my water bottle. Doing exactly what they want and turning around and go, well, you didn't stop Trump.
Yeah, well, I couldn't put it better. You're absolutely right. And after, if Taiwan falls and if Ukraine falls, there are other countries that may well follow, and you may see a world in which, in a very rapid period of time, it's almost like 1984.
It is like
divided up
1984.
to 3 spheres of influence, and a very unstable world. And if NATO, if Trump marches into Greenland in the next 2 months, I mean that, you know, he's. Those are the sort of timescale that we're perhaps thinking about.
Yeah.
What happens to NATO then? I mean, NATO. The obligation of NATO is that if one part of NATO, one member of NATO suffers an attack, then everybody's got to come to their defence. Well, crikey, what's going to happen then? NATO against the Americans. I mean, it's horrific. And without NATO, Europe is so much weaker. The future. Gosh, it's the more I think about it, the more worrying it gets.
It really is, because I think I can see NATO collapsing and I can see the UN being chucked out of the US. If the UN stands up to Trump and says this was an illegal act, you've got to hand him back, or you've got to let him go into exile, or whatever it is that they're going to do with Maduro, you've broken the law. He won't give a jot, because there isn't a world court that will hold him accountable. Yeah. So he would just go, well, UN, you're done, and NATO, I'm out.
And with Greenland, the justification for intervention is much weaker than it even is with Venezuela. Yeah. I mean, Greenland is a member of NATO. If there's stuff that you need from Greenland, well, negotiate with the Danes and the Greenlanders to buy it. Or if you want to have a bigger base there, or bigger bases, or do all sorts of things there, negotiate with the Danes and the Greenlanders. And, I'm sure they'd be, in many cases, delighted to help, because it would enrich the people of Greenland and the people of Denmark. But just walking in like that, which is now it's more likely today than it was on Friday, and yet what would NATO do? What would we do? Are we going to stand up to him then? Like you said, NATO against America. It doesn't bear thinking about. Is NATO going to send troops to Greenland to defend Greenland against the Americans?
Michael, I don't even know how we're having this conversation. It's like the world has gone mad, Michael.
It might be better. I mean, if this horrific idea of invading Greenland is contemplated, would it not be better for Trump just to say, okay, there's only 60,000 Greenlanders, we'll offer them all $10 million each and bribe them. I mean,
he's offered them 10 grand each. Apparently,
this is the mindset of the mafia. But at least fewer people will be killed that way. No, it's frightening.
It really is. And I just fear that by letting him get away with this, then we've just emboldened him even more to say, well, I can do what I like. Michael, what I'd like to do is carry on talking to you, but time is against us. So thank you very much indeed. And I really look forward to chatting to you again. Michael Crick, broadcaster, writer and journalist.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there. Just a reminder that at the top of the hour, the fabulous Cody Darla, comedy writer and host of the Truth, in my opinion, podcast, will be here to go through the papers. I think we can probably guess what's going to be on almost every front page. And I'll be asking you at midnight about whether you think that Keir Starmer is going to be the man of the hour and who will stand up to Donald Trump. Or do you agree with what he's done with Venezuela? And you think, well, he's just going to, like Jacob was saying, he's just going to, you know, he's telling us what, you know, don't mess with America. And that'll be it. I wish I shared Jacob's view of that, but there you go. Anyway, another thing that we like talking about in this country is the weather, and my goodness me, have we got things to talk about at the moment. People returning to work this morning after the festive season, facing a particularly cold snap. Hundreds of schools shut, train services and flights cancelled, and some road travel made impossible in the northern parts of Scotland. Amber warnings for heavy snow in northern Scotland were in place overnight, with much less severe yellow warnings for snow and ice covering much of the rest of the UK. And this freezing weather is far from over. Jim Dale, senior meteorologist at the British Weather Services and co-author of Surviving Extreme Weather, joins me. Hello, nice to see you again.
Hi, Petrie. Good evening.
Good evening. It's not got any better, has it? It is, I think, -6 in London tonight.
Oh, I'll give you that might be pushing it, to be honest with you. It might get there in the end, but at the moment, I'll tell you where you're up to. The bottom of the shop, if you like, -10 at Tulloch Bridge in the Highlands, and then we got -9 at Shap. Alton O'Hara, what a beautiful place, and Estelmuir, and we've got a -8 at the moment in Benson, which is Oxfordshire. So yeah, it's very icy out there. Not too much snow around falling. There's bits and pieces, but not a great deal. That's to come. But
that's also the problem, isn't it? Because the kind of snow that we get, and then it just freezes, and so you've got little bits of snow on the top and then packed ice underneath.
Yeah, and you've got the sunshine in the daytime as well for most of us, and what happens is that surface melts and then refreezes, so it's like very difficult walking. And I'll give you something else that's going to be very difficult walking in a second. These next couple of days, there is more snow to come, particularly. You mentioned northern Scotland, north and eastern Scotland that got amber warnings. That's been extended into tomorrow through tomorrow. There will be some bits and pieces in other parts of the country. That's on Tuesday. Little bit of a wet respite on Wednesday until you get to the evening. Then there's another little trough that comes in, maybe gives from the west, slightly less cold, but nonetheless still cold and frozen surfaces. And then we've got a big one. And this will take in London as well, because I think for the most part London has kind of missed out for the most part in terms of the snow.
Yeah.
Not unusual. Most of the south has missed out in that same respect. So what we've got on Thursday PM, particularly evening time and into the overnight and Friday morning, is we've got a very strong storm system that is now expected the centre to go through the channel. Now that's a problem, because before, even this morning, it looked like it was going to go across the Midlands, and it was going to be the M62 that was going to be in blizzards, because the cold air is still in situ. You've got very strong winds with it. Now it's going through the channel. At least the latest prognosis is that means snow more for the M4, M5, London, the home counties. That's what's potentially on the ticket for Thursday evening, Friday morning. You can imagine the rush hour, and if it doesn't end up as snow, and it's a fine line, it will end up as freezing rain. Now, what's freezing rain? It's rain. It's rain that hits a frozen surface and then freezes on impact, and that's one of the worst situations that you can get for transport, for traveling. Cars, vehicles, and pedestrians the same. So this is a big watch. Now, it could be named as a named storm. Storm Chandra is the next named storm. Always like waiting for the bus with the Met Office, waiting for them to name it if it does get named. I fancy it will, because the winds around it are very strong, and normally these things are named because of the wind rather than anything else. But I'm of the view that it's got various elements attached to it. So this is a definite one that late Thursday into Friday needs watching, and the warnings that go out with that will definitely need to be heeded.
And how long are we expecting this cold time to? I would call it a snap, but it's going on longer than a snap.
It's gone a bit more than a snap now. How long is the piece of string? It does look as if once that one goes through, bit by bit and little by little, it'll start warming up from the southwest. When I say warming up, less cold. That's probably the right way. So slightly milder conditions coming in, and I think in the end, the snow that's on the ground, 2 or 3 days later, will be confined to the Highlands, the Grampians. So it will get eaten away. So there's a good chance that we're coming to the end of it. But we've got to get, we're not at the end yet, given what I've just said about what's about to arrive in these next few days, particularly later this week.
Now, Jim, one thing I do want to clear up, and I've never been able to do this before, is that when I was younger, my mother, who's a Scottish woman, would say to me, "Oh, it's too cold to snow." Does that have any basis in truth?
The basis in truth in that is that when you get the coldest temperatures, you're normally in clear skies. We had them the other day, but if we look in other parts of the world, then yes, your coldest temperatures are always when you've got the maximum radiation heat radiation away from the Earth's surface into space, and therefore temperatures go perilously low, -30, -40, these sort of temperatures.
So without the cloud cover?
Yeah, so in that respect, you don't get snow in those situations. But, and this is the but, if you then get a switch change, a frontal system, a trough, a bit of low pressure comes in, and it's still perilously cold, it can still snow. So it can work both ways in a way, but no, you can get a very, very cold situation and it can snow. So it's probably false to say, but I've just given you the reasons why that is said.
I wish I'd known that as a kid. I would have gone up so clever.
Oh, there's loads of those.
Yeah,
my other book, Whether or Not, question mark, whether or not, has got all of those things in there. What's this? What's that? How does it all work? So black ice, for instance, black ice, it's not black. It's transparent. It's translucent. The black is the color of the road beneath it. Normally black, grey.
Yeah.
So it could be orange. It could be whatever color. But that's what black ice is going to be. So if the freezing rain does arrive into the very south on Thursday night, Friday, as it hits the ground, that freezes. You won't be able to see the ice itself very easily. So that's what black ice is, and there's a lot of misconceptions about exactly what.
Yeah, and like you said, on pavements and things like that, we've all got to be incredibly careful. How low are the temperatures gonna go?
I think tonight might be, tonight might be the big one. Apart from Scotland, I think Scotland, the Highlands, the Grampians, and I love the Grampians and the Highlands, the high ground there and the valleys. I mentioned Altnahara to you. I've been there. It's just massive mountains and a tiny little hamlet. And I've been to the weather station there. My God, it's so beautiful. But it doesn't have the topography makes for the low temperatures. You get the very cold air sinking down off the mountains into the valley, and it stays there as a pool. So I would expect, as it is at the moment, -9 there at the moment, I would expect that the next several days it will still remain around those sort of temperatures, if not lower, in those glens of Scotland as ever. So that's plenty to do. I think for the rest of us, probably less cold with time, and particularly as that potential storm Chandra comes in and does her stuff on Thursday night, Friday.
Jim, thank you very much indeed. There we go. Jim Dale, Senior Meteorologist at British Weather Services and co-author of Surviving Extreme Weather. Wrap up. Good advice.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there, and a very good evening to you. It is Petrie here with you through until 1 o'clock, and coming up at midnight, I want to talk to you about the situation in Venezuela, and really, it's about Keir Starmer, really, but also with what's going on, because look, a lot of us are very not confused about what's happening, but concerned that this is just the beginning of rearranging the world order. And I've just seen on one front page, which I will get to you a little bit later, I think it was the Mail. Hang on a minute. Oh yeah, this is about Greenland. Greenland raid will finish NATO. Trump is warned. So Donald Trump has warned that any attempt to seize Greenland would spell the end of NATO. I think he would force the end of NATO because he would not. I mean, I think NATO's on its last legs anyway. But there you go. So it's an uncertain time at the moment, and I'm asking, is Keir Starmer the man for the job? I mean, he couldn't even say today that Trump had broken international law, which evidently he has. If you look at the rules of going into another country, kidnapping their leader or seizing the leader, and then saying you're going to run the country for the foreseeable future, that's not what these international laws or the Monroe Doctrine or any of those things were ever set up for. And it gives Russia and China and even North Korea and Iran the right to do whatever they want to do from now, and Israel, actually. Let's just throw that in as well. Whatever they want to do. Because what's he going to do? He can't stand up and say, no, you mustn't do that, you know, as the peace leader of the world, when they can just go, excuse me, what have you just done? So this is why it is a very, very, very difficult situation. And he's already said that he's going to go for Cuba, Colombia, I think Nicaragua was in there as well, and Mexico, he even mentioned. So, and I've just seen a post with his face on it saying, this is my hemisphere now. So this is very worrying times. So do you think that Keir Starmer is the man to stand up to Donald Trump? Do you think that if you don't, then who will? Who can? And does this latest move concern you, or do you think that he's done the right thing? Look, Maduro was undoubtedly a vile person who destroyed Venezuela's wealth and their economy. Two things can be true at the same time. That yes, he was a disgusting leader, illegitimate leader, but Trump can also have broken the law in doing what he did. There is both things can be true at the same time, although you wouldn't think that when you hear to people who are on one side or the other. I'm certainly no Maduro apologist. But now Darcy Rodriguez is in charge of Venezuela, and she is Maduro in a dress. So how does that work? I don't know. I'm as confused as you are. But give me a call on that. I want to hear your views. Are you concerned at all? 0344 499 1000. Calls are charged at the national rate, but we do call you back. And you can text, put the word talk and your message to 87222. Well, with me in the studio now is Cody Darla, comedy writer and host of the Truth in My Opinion podcast.
Hello.
Hello. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Fabulous.
What a start. It was going all right with Mamdani getting sworn in. I think
that was good.
2026 was good for about 13 minutes.
Yeah, and it was, and there was some hope. And then I just thought, no, surely this year's, because last year's news cycle nearly broke me. I mean, and I love
even
news.
you,
even
with
me.
your famous resolve.
And I love the news. I'm like, oh, I love it. Nearly broke me. And then I thought, well, this year maybe it'll be a bit calmer.
Yeah.
But this is not how it has now been set out by Donald Trump.
Yes, it certainly seems like his plan is coming together, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's an active effort to undermine the world order. I thought it was quite interesting, the phrasing of your caller question, because I think my view of whether Starmer's the right leader or not is it's sort of the wrong question to be asking. I think what we're observing is a collapsing of the old order, primarily because the order has been propped up by the assumption that there'll never be a madman in the White House.
Yeah.
That America will always broadly be aligned with the sort of liberal order. And we're witnessing now what happens when someone who is cut from the same cloth as a Maduro is placed in charge of the world's largest military. So my view is that no leader, Starmer or anyone, would be able to deal with it, because these behaviours that America's exhibiting, that Trump's exhibiting, have always happened. You know, their incursions in South America aren't a new thing, but the fact that there's such a brazenness and an openness about it shows that we're now definitely in a new world of despots. We've got a despot who is in charge of the world's largest superpower.
It is. I mean, certainly a lot of people have thought. I think that there was a red line somewhere with Donald Trump. We now know that there isn't one, right? And that is deeply concerning. But it's the hypocrisy with which it's done as well that flabbergasts me. You know, oh, this is an evil despot, blah blah blah, and yet I'm going to install an American team to run Venezuela, and if the leader doesn't do what I tell them to do, then she'll be in bigger trouble than Maduro. Doesn't that make him a dictator of Venezuela? And didn't he roll out the red carpet to Putin and applaud him coming down the stairs? And hasn't he buddied up to Kim Jong-un, who, I mean, he said, the reason I've done this is because he's been treating his people really badly. People are starving, people are blah, blah, blah. What's happening in North Korea? And yet
exactly.
He won't stand up to North Korea because North Korea have got big bombs.
Well, of course, also it's just a ludicrous justification.
Yeah.
Because again, the US-sponsored regime change
never worked.
It's nothing new.
Yeah.
Like, it's happening as we speak around the globe. The CIA will be planning some other, and before we're not even talking about Cuba or Mexico, but I think it shows the worrying thing, or at least the thing that I am most kind of flabbergasted by and uncomfortable with, is this idea that, Trump will invade Greenland and NATO will collapse. The US under Trump has been undermining NATO for the last 12 months. But
actually, before then, when he was in power before.
But it speaks to the utter weakness of our political leaders over the last 2-3 generations, who have just cowered in the face of American power. And we've been very satisfied, because it's the easiest thing to do, this assumption that America will be the world's policeman and they will align with our values. Well, this is what you get when you don't invest in your own defence. You have no foreign policy of your own to speak of. We've just been following, basically licking America's boots for the last 70 years. This is what happens when you elect a maniac. This is literally what happens when someone who has dictator tendencies, who, before you even, get into the weeds of is he a fascist or is he not, he's clearly a man who has no respect for any international law, no precedent. He's a man who's been talking openly, admittedly not over the last few months, but has definitely sort of nodded and a wink to running for a third term. He's an absolute anti-democratic, fascistic dictator maniac who would also easily and very happily be a Nicolas Maduro in America. So and
yet he was voted into power twice.
Trump.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, you look at across America now, the unpopularity of his presidency. They're heading towards a midterm where he's going to be trounced. So if his justification for removing Maduro,
if that happens.
If you mean if the midterms happen, well, the very fact you're having to ask that question is proof that he's cut from the same cloth. It's not. I think we're no longer in the reality where we can assume that America will act in a certain way. He could invade Greenland tomorrow, and that is literally America invading another NATO power. And like you said, that would be the dissolution of NATO. We would then, who knows where we would then be. But
would anybody stand up to him then?
This is what I mean. I genuinely don't think they would, or they would do it in a way that is. I just don't see how they can, and that sort of goes back to the point I was making about Starmer, where it's like we're so far away from a scenario where we could have a strong European leader to stand up to Trump. That scenario doesn't exist.
But because we don't have strength in our military.
Exactly. We have been so reliant on America for so many years that we've got no cards whatsoever.
But also, I mean, the idea that Keir Starmer, who was the QC, right, can't say out loud that Trump has broken the law here is extraordinary to me.
Yeah, it speaks to our position. Weak, totally powerless, and so is the rest of Europe at the moment. We're powerless in the face of this kind of thing. I think that's what's scary, because there's no, you can't see a route out of it.
No.
Because it's not like we're now like, okay, Trump's had his fill. He's got Venezuela. Okay, we can see a logic there. There's no logic to this guy. He will just do whatever he wants. He's talking about invading Cuba. He's talking about invading Colombia. He's a guy who, his justification for Maduro, popularity short, like narco-terrorism, he pardoned the former president of Honduras, who was charged with the same thing. We're not dealing with a man who has a plan or a strategy or even a clear thought. So I don't know. We can't.
Well, what does he want? I mean, look, like you said, 1984, so it's divided into 3 sections. America, Russia, China. And is that what they want?
I think he's a madman. I don't think it's like trying to...
But is this him, or is this Miller?
I don't know. I mean, it's perhaps a sort of Stalin type scenario where you've just got a mad dictator, and then you've got some of the people around him trying to running everything. But it's like trying to psychoanalyze a limpet. It's just like you're not going to get any answers, because I genuinely think he is so impulsive, and he is so scattergun.
Well, now he's empowered as well.
He's empowered because he gets away with it. He looks at, you go back to, you look at the Ukraine negotiations where, like you say, he rolls out the red carpet for Putin, and then he sits at the big table with the European leaders, and he tries to think of vague characteristics about them because he doesn't really know or care about them. It's like, it's all a show. It's not, he just does what he likes. And like you say, he's empowered now because he knows that all of the leaders across the world can do nothing. They can't. They can do nothing to stop him.
They can't even denounce him.
Of course, exactly. I mean, you've got no. I mean, I
was really hacked off with Keir Starmer today, because I thought it's so. 2 things, like I said, 2 things can be true at the same time. Maduro, evil, right?
Yeah.
Nasty man. International law broken. Those things can happen and coexist at the same time. And even the Venezuelans are suddenly going, well, hang on, what is going to... Because if Darcy Rodriguez is now our president, that's just Maduro.
It's Maduro, but now in the pocket of America. Because they said, we're going to bomb you, or you're going to listen to what we're going to say. So now she's listening to the Americans. So yeah, they've got a Maduro...
but then they've also, she's not running the country, America is.
Of course. The oil, it's worse than that, Petrie. The oil men are now running the country.
Yeah.
It's far worse than America helicoptering in a sham election or whatever, and trying to have this benevolent diplomacy, foreign policy. You'll come back into our sphere of influence, and we'll share the balance. It's worse than that. It's oil. It's the big oil men. Trump, as we speak, is walking into a meeting with ExxonMobil, all of the big oil men.
They paid $400 million to his campaign.
Paid $400 million to his campaign. This is exactly what they wanted. This is like hyper-capitalism, hyper-greed, and that's another side of the Maduro thing. Again, I'm no Maduro apologist, he's an awful guy, but one of the accusations the Americans have against him is that, he's just using his state for his own, in terms of the drug cartel, for his own private gain. Well, hello, isn't that something that Donald Trump and his White House could understand? He's spent the last 12 months lining the pocket of him and his family. Where, you talk about Palantir and the tech bros and all this stuff. The whole system is rotten. So I share your anger at Keir Starmer, but I'm also no Keir Starmer apologist. It's not fair for you to get angry at Keir Starmer as a guy, because he is just a product of a system that has been overly reliant on America. Macron, Merz, they're all the same. They have no power to stand up to this guy.
Yeah, none.
Nothing.
Paper tigers, the whole lot.
I don't know who it goes back to, who it starts with, even if it's Churchill and, the Iron Wall and all this. It's just, this is a system that is collapsing in front of our eyes, and it is a product of neglect and political weakness over decades.
This is also Trump trying to break up the BRICS nations, because the BRICS nations were buying and selling oil outside of American currency, outside of the dollar. So if he can take control of Venezuelan oil, that will prop up the dollar and help with the American economy. So it's a lot to do with the American dollar as well, because there's lots of countries around the world that are starting to go, well, do we need the American dollar? Because oil has always been traded in American dollars. So if there's a whole group of nations who are deciding not to trade in American dollars, then it doesn't take long for that to become an infection.
Sure, I mean, you know...
So it's all about money.
Exactly. Economic imperialism is the 21st century face of 19th century imperialism. And in fact, in a way, I think what's most shocking about the Venezuela stuff is that we've seen a crossover. It feels like a 19th century type intervention. No, you don't helicopter into another country and just pinch the president. That is like, you would expect the East India Company to do something like that. It's like, you know, the modern face of imperialism is exactly what you were just talking about. It's the sort of economic machinations, and you try and apply pressure. I mean, that's the reason capitalism exists, is because, you know, we exploit the southern part of the globe. But this is like a... And
it's so blatant as well.
It's blatant and old-fashioned, yeah. It's almost twee if it wasn't so...
If it wasn't so disastrous.
Exactly, so scary.
Cody and I are going to take a break, but give me a call on that at midnight, 0344 499 1000. We'll be back in just a moment with the headlines.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there, this is Talk, and it is Petrie here with you and with me, Cody Darla, comedy writer and host of The Truth in My Opinion podcast. Right, let's have a look at the Times. Not surprising at all, pictures of Maduro and his wife doing a perp walk, very evidently designed to embarrass the former Venezuelan president, although he says, I am a prisoner of war, and that he also stood up and said, I am the president of Venezuela.
Hmm.
Do you think these images were set out to embarrass him?
Well, that's what a perp walk is, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean...
being held by the DEA, the drugs lot.
Yeah, it's sort of... you're exactly right. It's designed to embarrass, but I think it's also... It's becoming more and more apparent and more shocking in the sense of what it represents as just American imperialism. I think the impact of this image will not have the kind of far-reaching, we're scared of America. Or, yeah, exactly. Yeah. We'll behave. It's just like it's proof that it's a country out of control.
Doesn't Maduro look like Saddam Hussein?
He does look like Saddam Hussein. He also looks like most ageing hipsters in Hackney.
Very true.
Yes.
Yeah, very true.
So he's clearly got expensive taste.
Yeah. Well, except that's a prison uniform, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it's as well, yeah.
Yeah, drivers over 70 to face compulsory eyesight tests. I thought they already did. Motorists over the age of 70 will be required to have their vision checked every 3 years, ending a system of self-reporting. Oh, I see. Right. Well, that's stupid. Self-reporting. Yeah, no, I'm fine.
Yeah, I think they're finding that as well. There's something else in the paper about the government thinking. Actually, I think it's the same article. The government considering medical tests as well for cognitive ability, because they're also saying that people don't self-report.
No, of course
they've
not.
got cognitive difficulties.
Well, look at Trump.
Yeah, exactly.
Mind
yeah,
you, he doesn't drive. He's not allowed to drive. He's not allowed to drive a car. Presidents aren't allowed to drive their own cars. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, Obama can't drive his own car.
What, even after they're president?
Even after they're president.
No.
Yeah, they can't drive.
You're joking.
No, I'm not.
What about a golf buggy? He doesn't drive those either.
He doesn't drive those either. And I love this. We chose a dog over a baby. Good choice.
Yes, that's a bit of you.
That's well, I did.
And you also, yeah, you've got a baby
but
as well.
you know, I can understand that why people do that. And then the other one, I track my teen son's every move. I'm addicted. I refuse to ever do that.
This is very common. This is very common.
I think it's terrible.
I also think it's terrible. I think my mum's friend does this.
Really?
Yes. And my other friend, his family have I couldn't believe it when he showed me. He was like, I was like, what's that on your phone? He was like, oh, it's just like find my friends for my family. And so he was looking where they all were, not in like a spy way. He was just like, oh yeah, this is just like.
No, but that's creepy.
So my mum knows where we are. I'm like, what?
What?
Yeah, it's big tech.
Oh, I don't like it.
It taps into our base psychoses.
It's just awful, isn't it? I mean, why not just put a tracker? I mean, it is a tracker.
It is a tracker.
It is a tracker. Yeah. It's outrageous. I think it's disgusting. I never. Well, was there? I think the technology was around, but I just wouldn't ever have done it.
It's weird, isn't it?
It's weird.
Yeah.
No. Right, the Sun newspaper. Man United boss sacked. I should have phoned my son actually and asked him what he thought of this. This is Amorim got sacked. He's looking very happy about it because he got a massive payoff apparently.
£30 million. £30 million for getting sacked.
30. Okay, I'm up.
Yeah.
30 million.
30
you can sack
mil.
me. What? That's not a sacking.
No. That's why he looks so happy.
Oh, no wonder.
Everyone would be happy. It's like winning the lottery, that, isn't it?
Gosh, when your trophies are nil and you've cost 30 mil, that's Amorim. That's
Very good.
Amore.
It's good. It's
very good.
It's
Like
good.
the Sun's on form.
Almost makes up for the fact that they've splashed this story rather than World War III on their front page.
Yeah. But it is a good story. No wonder they're smiling. I don't know anything about Amorim. Was he rubbish?
I can't stand football.
Yeah.
So.
One nod in
Was
there.
he rubbish? Probably.
Well, probably.
Getting sacked.
I should have phoned my boy. He would have told me at great length.
See, that's the benefit of having a baby over a dog.
Yes. Right. The Telegraph. I'm a prisoner of war. There's Maduro. Why are they? Oh, they're ducking because of the helicopter. Maduro insists he's an innocent man. He also said he was a good guy.
He said he was a good guy.
Man. Yeah, he said he was a decent. He said he was.
Yeah, Just make that extra clear. Maduro is saying all of these things about himself.
Yeah.
I'm a good guy.
I'm a good guy, and I'm innocent. And his wife also said that she was innocent. Of course. So there you go. And the headline there: I am a prisoner of war. NHS app to fast track prostate diagnosis. Men with prostate cancer symptoms will be able to get fast-tracked appointments to speed up diagnosis. I thought there weren't any symptoms to prostate cancer.
Well, I think it's a screening fast track. So I imagine people who have gone to the doctor with concerns about that have been waiting months to basically see a specialist or whatever. So this will allow them to see a doctor quickly through the NHS app, I believe. Wes Streeting said it should be as easy as ordering a takeaway or a taxi.
Well, I mean, I've just had my best mate go through this prostate cancer, and he had surgery on 29th of December. But I have to say that the NHS were amazing with him, because it was early November that his PSA result came back as high, and then very, very quickly, so from November to the end of December before he had his prostatectomy.
Wow, that is, yeah.
But it's really quick.
It is good. I mean, I think
It's really good. I think the NHS is brilliant if you need them.
Of course.
They're not if you're just mucking around in A&E with hiccups.
True, and also when you're being treated, it's excellent.
Yeah.
It's the problem, and I think this is what this app is designed to do.
Getting in front of that specialist.
Exactly, is getting to the specialist.
Yeah.
Exactly. Once you're there, they're great. But the problem is the wait.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, the wait that we went through with him. Oh my God, it was torture.
Really?
It was absolutely torture. I mean,
And that was what, 4 weeks?
Yeah, for 6. I think it was 6 weeks until he was told that you could have the prostatectomy. But it was, I mean, but 6 weeks felt like 6 months or 6 years. And you know, there was a lot of catastrophizing that went on. Not from me. I was very logical, as you can imagine.
I can imagine.
But very good and caring at the same time. But just trying to point out that things would be okay. But you know, the NHS has saved his life.
Of course,
so
yes.
I mean, it is amazing.
Yes,
it is amazing.
It is amazing.
But anything that can speed up the process, yes, please, because it was torture. It was torture for him mostly, but you know, for those of us who are close to him and trying to manage it, it was very, very difficult. Reeves blocks cash for struggling pubs. That's nice. Rachel Reeves is blocking new financial support for pubs despite Sir Keir Starmer admitting that many will struggle with a new business rate change.
Yeah, this is why lots of Labour MPs are being barred from their locals.
Yeah.
Reeves is barred from her local. Yeah.
Should be.
Yeah.
I think there's also hairdressers that we'll be able to start to see them all now with long hair. Hairdressers are banning them as well now.
Starmer's entering a sort of episode of stress. His hair will be all over the place if he can't get it cut.
He'll have a mullet. He'll have a mullet.
He'll use so much gel.
God. The Guardian. Maduro said he's a prisoner of war and denies all charges. This is this story that I saw on the front of the Mail. Greenland attack would end NATO, says Denmark. An attack on by the United States on a NATO ally would mean the end of the military alliance. I don't think Trump cares.
Not at all, no. And of course it would be the end of it, but it's fascinating to think how it would end. With a whimper. I don't think...
I just struggle to kind of think, what would we do?
Yeah, I don't know.
What would we do? Because then it would be the rest of NATO against America.
Well, I honestly, I don't want to sound dramatic, but this would be like World War III if it weren't the most powerful nation on the planet doing it.
Yeah.
Like, if this was just like, let's say North Korea or whatever, you'd just there'd be a big war, and they were like, okay, well, now we're going to move on to the. It's like Hitler in the 40s, the 30s.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, that's just a pathway to a big war, and everyone would be bricking it, but they're cowering because it's Trump and America. We can't defeat them.
Fight it.
We can't fight them. They could take over the whole world if they wanted. Well, Russia would just nuke us, but that is like where we're at. And actually, I think the only reason this is being allowed, because this completely plays into the hands of Putin. This is music to his ears.
Yeah,
the West in complete turmoil.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
That's what he's wanted all along.
And he's going to get Ukraine now. Like, why on earth would they settle for any kind of peace deal? China will invade Taiwan. That's it. Nicely done. The whole thing in tatters.
And no one can, the biggest power in the world can't stand up against them.
Yeah. It feels like, you know, when people are like, oh, well, we might be living in World War III. And you feel like, oh, well, actually, when the historians are kind of looking, you might be able to make the argument. It's now, you're like, oh, yeah, this is it. This is it now.
Right, should we take a break while we contemplate that joyful moment? Quick break, back in a sec.
across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there, this is Talk and it is Petrie, and with me is Cody Darla, comedy writer and host of the Truth in My Opinion podcast. The I newspaper, interestingly, has gone with eyesight. Do you like what I did there?
The eyesight paper.
The eyesight
like
paper. Thank you. That just popped into my head. See, it's not only you that can do comedy, Cody.
Oh, no. No.
I mean, the eye.
People tell me all the time. All the time.
Over 70s face driving ban for failing new eyesight tests. So they've gone a little tougher on it. Cognitive tests as well for over 70s under consideration. Officials planning to introduce tougher penalties for people driving without insurance. Proposals follow senior coroner's report warning that legal eyesight standards for older drivers were ineffective and unsafe after the deaths of 4 people by drivers with failing vision. So there you go. I mean, we've known this for a while, haven't we?
Yeah, I mean, it's quite unhelpful in that it doesn't tell us what you have to do to fail. Like, I'm sure it's got to be quite bad. And in which case, if it's that bad that you can't see, you shouldn't be driving.
You shouldn't be driving anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't drive without my glasses.
Yeah.
But then I've always got my glasses on.
Yeah, exactly.
So
but
it's
also,
fine.
you'd have an eye test and you'd be like, I wear glasses and I can see fine. And they're like, okay, you can still drive.
Yeah.
I think you surely you have to be blind, like literally.
Literally.
to not be allowed to drive. If your glasses aren't helping you see anymore, the last thing you should be doing is stepping into a Fiesta.
You probably can't even find it.
No, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, you get in the wrong
Or you find your keys. Maybe that's the model so far, it's self-correcting.
I think that a lot of people, though, they want to take the keys off an elderly relative, but they haven't got an excuse to. So maybe this will help them. Just go, well, you've just failed your eye test. You're not driving your car.
What's with this conspiracy? No, if you can't see, you're going to kill someone. You can't be on the road.
Yeah, but they are on. Have you seen them?
I know. Well, it seems. What's that?
Mr. Magoo.
4 deaths. 4 deaths because of eyesight.
Yeah.
That's bad.
That's really bad.
It's bad.
They're just ploughing into people.
Yeah, and they're not even noticing.
They're not
they
even
can't
noticing.
see a thing.
This is the FT. Investors profit as Maduro faces court. A Venezuelan bond surge. I mean, isn't money just so cynical? Deposed leader tells judge that he's a kidnapped president. China and Russia rebuke Washington at UN meeting, but they won't do anything else. Danish premier warns on Trump's Greenland plans.
This is the real story. Investors profit. This is what guides it. Like you said earlier, the oil bros sponsored Trump.
Yeah.
They gave $400 million to his campaign.
Yeah.
Now look what happens. He's invaded Venezuela and unlocked the largest oil reserves in the world. Isn't that a coincidence?
It's 18% of global oil. So in one place, it is the. Oh gosh,
Madness.
I just don't. The people who are going to suffer the most are the people of Venezuela, and they have suffered enough under the hell of Maduro. But he's still there. His vice president elect, that's who he chose, has taken over, sworn in by her brother, who was then sworn in by somebody else.
Yeah, I mean it's rotten, isn't it? It is rotten. But and again, it's not a competition, but America is also rotten. We've got Donald Trump's son-in-law trying to reshape the Middle East and making a hash of it. You know, this sort of nepotistic incompetence who are parachuted into positions of power is not a Venezuelan occurrence. It's happening in America, and like I say, I think it's
look at Hexes. He did
totally. I mean, it's the Venezuelan thing is interesting because of the stark ideological divide. I mean, Maduro is a dictator, but he embodies socialism, which obviously he doesn't. He's not a socialist in any way. But that is what America can present this as, where it's like, you know, the stupid lefties in South America who are ruining their nations. It's not. It's greed and power and money. The same for Trump and the same for Maduro.
Yeah, I think it was 2014, the Venezuelan, don't quote me on that, I think it was 2014, the Venezuelan economy collapsed because they'd relied on only one thing, and that was oil, and the oil prices collapsed. And they just couldn't afford to, and so they just printed more money.
Yeah.
And that made the money worthless. I mean, you're taking a wheelbarrow of money to buy a bag of tomatoes. You know,
Well, I think the average Venezuelan makes a few dollars a month.
It's
and their
it's
living
shocking.
costs are in the hundreds of dollars.
I just can't see that their plight is going to improve. Certainly not in the medium term.
Of course not. That's not the goal. That's not that. No, that's not the priority in any way. The Venezuela. This is what makes it so sickening when anyone who's trying to defend this starts banging on about it, and they're like, oh well, he needed to be deposed. Well, okay, fine. This doesn't improve that. There's at no stage on the list of priorities for the US right now, the Venezuelan people are not on it at all. So it's almost pointless to talk about it. They're not going to be freed. Their prospects aren't going to be improved. They're now going to become a vassal state of America. They're going to, that's it. They'll just be entirely reliant on America. They're going to suck their natural resources dry, put it in the pockets of ExxonMobil. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
A playbook as old as time.
Yeah, it really is as old as time. The Metro, who's next? This is 48 hours on from the swoop on Maduro. US President repeats a call to own Greenland and threatens Cuba and Colombia. He also did throw in Mexico as well. I liked it. He said Colombia's left-wing leader, I mean, like you're saying, it's the lefties, the socialists, who aren't true socialists either. Gustave Petro is a sick man who likes making cocaine and selling it to the US. He was asked if he may order a similar operation. He replied, sounds good to me. He said Cuba, which supplied 32 of Maduro's guards who died in the raid, was going down. It's going down for the count now that it can't rely on subsidised Venezuelan oil.
There's absolutely no evidence that the Colombian president is also part of a cartel in any way. In fact, I mean, I was reading an article about Colombia. The Colombian government works with the US to try and control the drug cartels. I mean, I don't mean this in an offensive way whatsoever, but like, you say South American cartels, I think there's a clear image that springs to mind that they're probably can't really, they're too powerful.
Most of the cocaine in the world comes from Colombia.
Exactly. So it's a hard industry to control, but he's just trying to delegitimize political leaders. That's what he's doing here. It's the same with Maduro when he calls him a narco-terrorist. I don't know what Maduro's involvement is with the drug industry. I don't know, but
he's undoubtedly benefited from it financially.
Precisely, exactly.
Undoubtedly, but how far you can go with that, I don't know. But the idea that this is about stopping drugs.
Well, it's so flimsy, isn't it? And I think that, again, that's another reason why this feels so... Well, I don't speak on behalf of people, but it feels so scary. Is because they're not even pretending anymore. It's such a flimsy reason that is so transparent.
They were pretending, weren't they, about these boats, and then it was like, we want the oil back.
The fact they don't have to tell us a convincing story anymore is proof at how far we are down the rabbit hole. They don't care. They don't have to tell us. They don't have to convince us. It's the drug cartels. These are narco-terrorists, and he's sending fentanyl into America, even though fentanyl's produced in Asia. They won't know. Yeah. Just say that. What a sorry state of affairs.
But surely, I also can't see Colombia or Cuba wanting. Look, say that these are the big drug cartels, and we know that, like I said, most of the cocaine in the world comes from Colombia now. I can't see them giving that up easily. These people are heavily armed. They're cartels for a reason. It will be warfare of some kind. It may not be army against army, but if America, I can't see them folding like Venezuela seems to have done.
Well, no, because they're not a state, are they? That's the thing. It's a bit, this is probably going to be a very crass analogy, but it's like sort of when we went into Afghanistan and Iraq and we try and kill the Taliban. They just go to the caves and they're the guerrilla fighters. Yeah. You can't destroy a cartel.
No, they're guerrilla fighters.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They'll just, you know.
It's going to be another Vietnam, is what I'm talking about.
Yes, well, precisely, exactly. And also, like, you know, because there are 3 big cartels, aren't there? They've got names.
Yeah.
It's like if you kill every single person in those cartels still exist. It's like it's beyond the human people that make up those cartels. It's an entity in its own right that is extremely hard to get rid of. But
also in Venezuela, there are you know, Maduro did arm a lot of the population quite recently. Probably in anticipation for something not dissimilar to this. I don't think he thought he was going to be got, but it's a very difficult, it's a very tricky situation. He hasn't won Venezuela yet, is what I'm saying.
Trump?
Yeah.
No.
And I can't imagine that there won't be pushback if he keeps Darcy Rodriguez in power.
Yes, but I mean, it's not. He doesn't. In a way, he doesn't have to win them, though. It's American hegemony.
But he has to protect the oil.
Sure.
So he's already said he's going to send in troops to do
exactly. That. Yeah. That's all it is. And I think that's sort of, again, to go back to the flimsy narrative they're trying to spin. I think they're only interested in the oil. They're not interested in Venezuelan democracy whatsoever. They don't have to convince us of it either, because we're too far gone. It's greed and money and power. That's it. We know that now. So all of this, they don't need to tell us a story about freeing the Venezuelan people. They just need to pay off the vice president now, who's just going to sit there and be an American stooge while they gut the oil industry and take control of it.
But they have to put boots on the ground.
Sure, yeah, but I mean that's what they've been doing, isn't it? They've got 15,000 troops in the sea patrolling on ships.
They've got a huge.
They've got it. It's the threat, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, they wouldn't stand a chance. What, you've armed some citizens? It's, you know, I mean, what was it? The Delta whatever, the Delta group who killed the ISIS leader was the people that went in and got Maduro. I mean, these are like trained psychopaths that go in. Like the Venezuelans,
I mean,
whatever, they don't stand a chance.
I mean, it has to be said. I mean, militarily,
I'm sure they're very good at their job. Yeah,
very impressive. Right, let's take a break. We'll be back in a sec.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there, this is Talk, and it is Petrie, and with me Cody Darla, comedy writer and host of the Truth in My Opinion podcast. The Daily Mail has also gone for America's New World Order. Greenland raid will finish NATO. Trump is warned. The US president has hinted that the minerals-rich island could be next on his hit list following a dramatic raid on Venezuela at the weekend. I mean, it wouldn't take much.
No, they
to
just
Greenland.
walk
There was
in, wouldn't
about
they?
30,000 people living there, something like 60,000. I can't remember
Yeah.
what the size of it is. There's not very many people.
About 50% of those are snowmen, aren't they?
Probably. But they could just take over in an afternoon. But it just depends what the rest of the... And a bloodless coup as well, it would be.
Yeah.
But it just depends what the rest of the world would do.
Yeah, it's like he's just. I mean, he's literally.
He's emboldened.
He's like a
56,000. Thank you. I thought it was between 50 and 60.
Yeah, it's just like it's like a toddler dangling their dinner over their high chair, ready to drop it. Will he do it? Will he do it? Of course he will. Of course he will. I think we're on tenterhooks for him just doing it.
I think he'll do it.
I think, yeah. Why wouldn't he? No one's to stop him.
But Canada must be concerned.
Well, honestly, that is like the point where you're like, if he invaded Canada, like what? That's like a war, isn't it? That's got to be a war. If he invaded Canada,
but Canada has also
the land of Katy Perry.
But Canada,
Is she Canadian? I
don't know. But she's going out with what's his name?
Justin Trudeau.
Justin Trudeau.
Yeah.
But I think that Canada has made the same mistake that Europe has made.
Oh, totally.
And
yeah.
relied on American defence.
Yeah.
So they can't defend themselves.
Yeah, completely.
They would rely on being NATO to have the rest of NATO defend them.
Yeah, exactly.
From Trump. So if he took Greenland, would he try to take Canada next?
I mean, that's a scary thought. I mean, you're absolutely right. It's not necessarily a European phenomenon that should be reliant on America. I mean,
Canada did as well.
Totally. I mean, what it was literally the end of the Cold War, but before '89 or whenever the Berlin Wall fell, it was America and the USSR. Then the USSR collapsed. It was just America, and then we just sat on our laurels.
Yeah.
We rested on our laurels. Thought the real enemy had just descended into the dust,
away,
and now we're all friends. And it's 35 years. It's not long, is it?
No, it's not.
35 years for it to go all wrong?
Yeah, it's not long at all.
It's embarrassing.
It is embarrassing.
It's embarrassing is what it is.
Right, the Daily Mail also says how going vegan could reduce your IQ. I'm just saying. I think I've spotted that.
Yes. To be fair, I don't think there's many vegans listening to talk. To be honest. I don't think you're upsetting anyone on this hour.
Should men be able to jump the queue for fat jabs? Why?
Yeah, there's not much more context, is there?
There's a very nice looking donut there.
I know.
Very tempting.
Would you get a fat jab?
Yeah, it just been my team just the fat people can't jump at all. That's not very nice, is it? And this is great advice. Ease achy knees by walking backwards. I really want to try that now.
Oh, you haven't tried it?
No.
I thought by your tone, I thought it worked.
No, well.
I've been seeing a lot of people at the gym do this. I wonder why that's. If
walking
that's the
backwards.
Reason. Yeah, on the treadmill. I thought I was missing something. But
walking backwards on the treadmill.
Multiple different people I've seen as well. There'll be a slight incline and they'll just be walking backwards. There must be.
How
this
do they
reason.
not scoot off at the? They're holding on.
They're walking. They're just walking backwards on a treadmill. You know, like you just.
Pointing forwards but walking backwards.
No.
But if you turn round on a treadmill,
yeah, exactly like
you
that.
get carried off.
No, but you're walking backwards.
Oh. I'll take your word for it. So maybe that's what they're doing. Now we know.
Perhaps, yeah. Perhaps. No,
See, every day's a school day. We all learn something. What ease your achy knees by walking backwards? I pretty much walk backwards when I'm walking the dogs anyway, but that's because they're dragging me in different directions.
You might pick up another injury walking backwards as well, actually, so be careful.
The Daily Mirror, Amarim smiling there with his 30 million payoff, I'm not surprised. And the Mirror saying, tyrant captured by lunatic. It's a great headline. One president in cuffs, but fears Trump's set to launch new missions. Nicolas Maduro is marched by US agents into New York court. Leader snatched in a blitz, same fearing that he's now eyeing a land grab on Greenland. And the headline is "They're mad men." Starmer says, "We stand with Denmark." Well, that's a fat lot of use, isn't it?
I love that. Tyrant captured by a lunatic. It's like exit stage left or exit pursued by bear.
Yeah, exactly.
Tyrant captured by lunatic. Shakespearean. That's what that
wonderful.
is. Shakespearean.
The Daily Express have gone with an interesting front page. I mean, I'm not surprised they've got a snow picture though. The Express is famous for its weather stories, right? It's famous for it. It loves the weather story. But this is new warning over hidden danger of salt in diet. Millions of adults eating 40% more than the recommended 6 grams a day. Do you eat a lot of salt?
I think I probably do.
Do you?
I think I probably do. But I get it's sort of not surprising. I'm convinced the next smoking scandal is going to be food. I'm not even convinced it is, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
It is. The amount of crap they put in our food
I know, really
is
bad.
mad.
And that's nothing compared to America. When Americans come over here, they go, "Oh my God, your food is so tasty, it's
organic."
So nice." Yeah.
Yeah.
Because their food is, but I believe that is a conspiracy between them and the pharma giants who want
America.
Yeah, who want the pharmaceutical giants want people sick.
Oh my God! Okay, that's proper conspiracy.
That's proper conspiracy.
But that probably sounds right. I once ate an apple.
It's all about money, isn't it?
It is all about money. I once ate an apple the size of my head in America, and it tasted of nothing.
Yeah.
So I mean, that says it all, really.
Yeah. Did you measure it against your head?
In the mirror, yeah. I stood there for about half an hour, making sure I picked the largest one.
Nice.
Yeah.
So millions of us risking our health by eating too much salt. The average working age Brit has as much as there is in 155 packets of crisps every week.
Wow.
What if you have 155 packets of crisps every week?
Sounds like it could be safer.
And yeah.
On top of all the other stuff.
On top of it. Do you know, I got used to, I don't really cook with salt because when my son was growing up, I didn't want him to have too much salt in his diet. So now I still don't, but I add salt to taste.
After you've made it?
Yeah. But I don't put a lot of salt in food when I'm cooking because I just got out of the habit because of we had spices. And
how old is your son?
28.
Yeah, come on.
But I mean, I still cook for him, but I mean, I was cooking for him up until he was, 24.
So your son's never had a grain of salt in his life?
Though he probably has, but not. I mean, I would make tasty, spicy food and stuff like that, but just not a lot of salt in it because salt is bad for children. Isn't that right, Sam? Yeah, see, Sam's got 2 little ones.
It doesn't sound great to me.
Well, I'm sorry, but he's much healthier and happier for it. Probably now eats his body weight in salt to make up for it.
We'll see if he survives World War III, though.
I love salt, and I only like the granular salt.
Oh yeah, the fancy salt. Yeah. You're not an animal.
Proper great big chunks of salt.
You don't want that massive white column of table salt you get for 27p.
Saxa,
You don't want that.
Don't want that.
Yeah, Saxa. Yeah.
Saxa. The other salts are available. That's the one I've got. Yeah. I don't know. And my sister always buys me fancy salt, actually. So it's nice. And there is a difference.
Of course there's a difference. You don't have to tell me.
There is a difference. And the Daily Star... This is so random, this front page, that I don't even know why. Why would they do this? Make Red Devils great again. Man-baby unit. I mean, they are really stretching this. Orange man-baby Donald Trump is 2,000 to 1 to take over at Man United from sacked Ruben Amorim. I mean, they could have put me there. I mean, I've got to be 2,000. I've got to be.
You missed the next one, the next bit where it says Leicester were 5,000 to 1 to win the league and won.
So we could get Donald Trump as Man United manager.
It's 2.5 times more likely that we will
than
Leicester winning the cup when they did.
Well, why didn't they do me and you on that as well? We would have been in roughly the same sort of odds, wouldn't we?
I think. No, definitely not. No, we don't. No. We're far worse odds.
Well, he doesn't know anything about football.
I know, but he's Donald Trump, isn't he? You can see him.
I know more than Donald Trump does.
It's not about that, though, is it? Can you just imagine him?
You expect to be heckled by your own team, really?
You can imagine him pacing up and down the side of the pitch with his arms dangling in front of him. You know, he walks like the front of a horse.
Doing that.
Score the goal, score the touchdown. Score the touchdown.
I can't believe that. Why? Who sat in the meeting this morning?
Yeah.
Yesterday morning. Yeah, this morning, and said, "Let's do Donald Trump being manager of Man United."
Yeah.
Why?
I mean,
why not? We can then put Man Baby United. There you go, sold.
Yeah. It's a quiet news day at the Daily Star, and only at the Daily Star.
That's what they decided, was that they wanted to put the word Man Baby on the front page, and that's how they managed to squeeze that in there.
But you know what that is, Petrie? That is news with a wink.
It's news with a wink. It really is.
That really is news with a wink. They're a paper of their word.
Is it news when you make it up?
That's true, actually. This is farcical. It's fiction. It's nonsense.
It's like Viz.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I think this tiny box in the bottom right, where it just says it's 2001's odd that he's going to be the manager, is the whole story. Surely it doesn't point to another page.
It says full story, page 5.
Rush out and get your copy of the Daily Star quick.
Full story.
While copies last.
I can't be any more. Cody, thank you very
much
indeed. Cody Darler, comedy writer and host of the Truth in My Opinion podcast. Talk back next.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello, good morning to you. This is Talkback, and obviously it's Petrie. So I want you to tell me what you think about what happened over the weekend with Venezuela. Do you believe that it was the right thing to do? Did Donald Trump do the right thing with Venezuela. And what happens next? Because there's a lot of talk about, and coming from him, about taking over Greenland. He's made no secret of the fact that he wants Greenland. And he said he must have Greenland. He's also said the same thing about Canada. And now he's talking about Cuba and Colombia, and he even mentioned Mexico as well. He says he doesn't want any more drugs coming in to into America, and that's why he's doing this. He's shifted his axis a bit on the whole Maduro thing, and has said that this is about oil that was stolen from America, and he wants all of that back. And so he's going to send in the oil companies now to sort out the. I mean, and China has said don't, because we pumped a lot of money into Venezuelan oil. Basically, I mean, it is. Can everybody just remember this is Venezuela's oil? This belongs to Venezuela. Trump going in there and re-establishing ExxonMobil, or whoever they're called now, into Venezuela. This is not going to help the Venezuelan people. Yes, Maduro was evil, but his deputy, his vice president, is now been sworn in, Darcy Rodriguez, who supports Maduro. She was, in fact, a great supporter of Chavez as well. I mean, the poor people that are there, I can't bear it, and they're full of hope. And what's going to happen? Darcy Rodriguez could stay in position, and then she's a puppet of Donald Trump, who then becomes a dictator by proxy, stealing Venezuelan oil from the Venezuelan people. It's the only thing they've got in Venezuela, because they've let every other market collapse, because oil was such a big part of their GDP. I think it was somewhere in the 90s of GDP, oil. And that's what led to the downfall of Venezuela's economy, is that they backed one horse. And then when the oil prices collapsed in the mid-20s, 2014 I think it was, the whole country fell apart. So my fear is for those people. What's going to happen to them now? Because they're certainly not top of the list with Donald Trump. The oil is, and propping up the US dollar. Paul is in Horsham. Hello, Paul.
Hello, Petrie. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. What do you think of what happened over the weekend?
That's a great question. Happy New Year to you.
New Year.
Yeah, cool. I'm not as clued up as you about this, but the way I think is he did a good job. He got a drug smuggler out, arms smuggler out, and hopefully that'd be a good thing. But as far as Greenland, now we all know a certain person who took over Poland, Czechoslovakia, Belgium, France, then tried to take us over. I believe his name was Mr. Hitler. Mm. Isn't Greenland being a little bit like Mr. Hitler?
I mean, he wants it, he's going to have it. That's what he said.
But what have they done wrong?
Nothing. They own lots of minerals that he wants.
Well, he's been a Hitler, hasn't he? Mm.
But I mean, there's international law against what he did in Venezuela. And let's not forget as well, he pardoned the Honduran president, who was convicted in America and sentenced to 40 years for trafficking drugs into tons of drugs into America. So the argument that he's got rid of look, he's a horrible man. There's no question about Maduro, right? No, he's an illegitimate ruler of that country.
I agree with that. Yeah.
But what Trump did is effectively regime change, and that's illegal. It is against the law. Two things can be true at the same time. And what's to stop Russia now? What's to stop Xi in China?
I know. Yeah.
Because if America has lost its moral stance, it can't say to Russia, look, stop what you're doing. You're not allowed to take Ukraine. It's a sovereign territory. It's not yours to take. It's not yours to try and run. Xi wants Taiwan, and he's going to have Taiwan, and America can no longer stand there and say, but you can't. That's an independent nation, not entirely sovereign, but independent.
I'm going to be a hypocrite now. I wish he'd come over here and do the same sort of thing over here as Greenland, because we need to get rid of Starmer.
Well, just have Starmer kidnapped by
I don't
Donald
care.
Trump.
Just get rid of him and let Trump run this country.
Oh, I don't want
Please.
Trump running this country. He's not doing such a great job in America. I don't want him here. But there's a lot of people who would agree with you about having Starmer deposed. But we have a democracy here, so we can actually vote him out.
Yeah.
And he won't be here for those 5 years anyway, Paul.
Yeah.
Not a chance. Not a chance. They'll get him. They'll get rid of him. Good to talk to you, Paul. So, for Paul, the red line is Greenland. That what happened in Venezuela was okay because Maduro was a horrible man. I just worry about what's coming next in Venezuela and what happens to other countries around Donald Trump now. In the Americas, Canada, Greenland, Mexico, Cuba. I mean, what happens to them? And I can't see Cuba or Colombia, frankly, giving in, giving up their territory. I just can't see it, not without a fight, not without a scrap. I think it's going to get nasty. Nasty. Right, let's talk to Sheldon now. Sheldon is in Swansea. Hello, Sheldon. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year, Petrie. Nice to speak to you, darling.
Very nice to speak to you as well. How's your wife?
We don't want to hear that on air because that's why I haven't been through to you.
Oh, okay.
She's recovering from cancer.
Well, I'm glad she's recovering. Send her my love.
Yeah, I will. Thank you very much.
Okay.
We'll go into that tonight. Okay, Trump. Now, I had the privilege of working for 2 American corporations in my life. And I discovered something which is very interesting about Trump. He uses exactly the same tactics as American corporate managers use in their business life. It's a simple tactic. It doesn't matter whether you're his direct subordinate, number 2 or number 3 or just a minion. If you don't do as you're told, and you don't fulfill his wishes, in the words of Alan Sugar, you're fired. It's as simple as that. Now, I believe that Trump sees the world as some sort of universal corporation led by the top corporation, which is America. So I think it's a very dangerous situation because he's not a politician.
No.
He's a hard-nosed businessman.
Who's been in bankruptcy 6 times.
Indeed. And we're in a situation here where we can't afford to keep poking our noses into world affairs all the time because at the moment it's very fragile anyway. Extremely fragile.
But should Starmer have said, been outspoken and said, look, what you've broken the law?
Well, I believe that international law is being debased, that's obvious. And the UN is being debased, and all the institutions, including NATO, are under threat as well.
Yeah, I agree.
So we have a new world order, which is being attempted by several dictators around the world. And Trump is a dictator. He may be the head of a democratic country, of that I have no doubt. But he's acting as an autocratic dictator. Now, one of the things which I find very amusing is his policy when he came into power for the second time was to get America out of world affairs. The MAGA thing was all about keeping America's nose clean. making America great again, not interfering, not getting involved in foreign adventures. Now, because he didn't win the Nobel Peace Prize, and he's as far away from that as Pol Pot, he decided to go the other way around because he's a attention seeker. And that's all he is.
I also, Sheldon, believe that this is also a distraction from the Epstein files. He is terrified.
Thank you so much.
He is terrified.
That was my next remark. When we discover how much involvement these incredibly powerful men, including himself, had involvement with Mr. Epstein, whose tentacles are huge, of course.
Yeah.
It would terrify any leader or any human being in the world. He could threaten anybody else with anything, but he doesn't want to be threatened with the truth.
He is terrified. I heard a hot mic moment that was recorded of him shouting, and he was shouting at people in the Oval Office and was saying things. He said, "Look, these Epstein files. If I go down, I'm taking you all down with me."
Yeah, sure.
You know, we might as well start a war. He talked about starting a war.
That's American corporate management tactics, exactly. It's all bullying. It's straightforward. The man's got a thin skin because he's a bully. And the problem is with people who are bullies, they only respect strength in the same way as Putin does. Now, I don't believe that he is ever going to put Putin down into his place.
No.
Or China.
No.
Or any other major world power. Despite the fact that America may be the most important country in the world, in liberal terms and in sophisticated terms with weaponry, I don't believe they have the power or will to do that.
But he doesn't need to rule the whole world, Trump.
No, only his own vicinity. I agree.
His own hemisphere. That's what he wants. He wants America to own that, Russia to own the middle bit, and China to own the rest.
Yeah, they carve it up between the three of them.
Yeah, that's what I believe is how. It's 1984.
But you have it in one. It's very Orwellian. But the problem we have here is the UK is part of the Western Hemisphere.
We're powerless. But the rest of the world is powerless against these three individuals.
But they are, and I think once they destroy the international institutions, which have kept peace in this world since 1948, we are now heading for an absolute catastrophe.
Yeah, the UN will be gone if they stand up against Trump on this, and he'll kick them out of America. And NATO, if he goes into Greenland...
Oh, that will be the end of that,
Be the end of NATO. I don't know what it would be the beginning of.
If NATO members act within their own charter, and he goes into a NATO-related territory, Greenland, if they don't stand up to that and say that our special relationship with you is over, we're all in a mess.
That's got to be the red line, right? But will we stand up to it? I mean, what can we do? America has quietly, for the last 70 years, been building the largest arsenal of weapons and the biggest military, only second, I think, to China. You know, they are well prepared, and we have done nothing.
Do you think
we should have seen this coming?
Do you think the people of America, though, have the will to do this? Outside of the fact that they run by a lunatic?
No. I genuinely believe that the majority of Americans are as horrified as we are.
I mean, they've gone through the whole... I had the privilege of working for Americans coming home from Vietnam in Germany when I was a musician. And I saw them being rehabbed there in 1976. And the world was in a terrible state at that time. And there were several American adventures that had cost them an arm and a leg and humiliation. And several others more recently. Now, I think that the only hope we got with the Trump administration is that he loses the plot and starts another debacle which he can't get out of.
I agree. And I do think that if he gets bogged down in guerrilla warfare in the South Americas, it'll turn into another Vietnam, because America's very good at going into places, but they never have an exit strategy, and that's what worries me for Venezuela, is that they're going in now, but there is no exit plan.
Exactly. And the other thing he does, he tends to attack ideologies instead of just wars.
Yeah, I mean, these are socialist governments, right? So he's talking about Colombia, Cuba, and Venezuela. He hates them. He hates them for their left-leaning view. I mean, they're not socialists. Yeah. They're dictators, right? They're being run to shove money in the pockets of the leaders. We know that. Yes. There's nothing socialist about that.
Oh, I understand.
But Russia is supposed to be communist.
Democratic socialists. Yeah. They're correct. Yeah.
But he put the red carpet out for Putin. So he says he doesn't like dictators, and yet, you know, he's applauding Putin when he comes down the steps of an aircraft. I mean, none of it makes any sense, Sheldon.
But I think the other problem we have is this recent episode in Venezuela. This is going to give the red light to any other dictator like him to walk into any country and depose anybody they like, because he can't argue against them anymore.
No. He can't. Nobody can stand up and say, no, you shouldn't do that, because you say, well, you didn't say that when America did it. So...
No, and my biggest fear is for the underdogs, for people like Ukraine, and future Ukraines, and other people who are going to be under the cosh, because he's not going to be able to help them because he can't.
No, I agree.
You can't argue the case.
I agree. Benjamin has said Sheldon is 100% on the money. Trump sees individual nation states as corporations, companies worthy of takeovers. So there you go, Sheldon. There's an absolute agreement with that. You take care. Send my love. Thank you very much indeed for that call. So Sheldon saying, I think Trump does see the world as a business, just to take over, with no respect to international boundaries or choices or leaders or whatever. And Maduro, horrible, right? Horrible leader. But it's not for Trump to depose him. It's for the people of Venezuela to do that, as we've been told has to happen in Iran, for example, right? Anyway, quick break. Back in a sec.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there, and a good morning to you. It is Talk, and it's Talk Back with Petrie Hosken. And so this gives you the chance to do just that, to talk back. And all day people have been talking at you about this, the Venezuela story with the US. And I think it's your chance to have your say now. So I'd love to hear what you think, what you make of this shift in global politics. I mean, it's been shifting, hasn't it, since Donald Trump came back to the presidency. And it just feels like there are no holds barred now. I mean, even when we went into the illegitimate war in Iraq, Congress was asked about it. Congress gave approval. This apparently was not military. This was a, what do they call it, a legal thing. It was the police that went into Venezuela to arrest a foreign leader, which I don't know what their jurisdictional right is to that. I don't understand how they could go into a foreign country and arrest somebody. But anyway, and the military were just there to support that action. That's the excuse you're going to hear from America. This wasn't military. This was a police matter, and they were supported by the military in order to make the arrest happen. And there's no doubt that Maduro needed to go, but Darcy Rodriguez is now the leader of Venezuela, and she was a massive supporter of Chavez and of Maduro. So what's changed? Nothing for the Venezuelan people, except that Donald Trump can now bully her and say to her, he's already said, if you don't do what I say to make Venezuela great again, worse will happen to you. So he's threatening the new leader of Venezuela, who thus far, I don't know, is she the head of a cartel? I don't know. But he's already threatening her. He's now threatening Cuba, Colombia, Mexico, he mentioned. He's not very happy with Mexico at all, because they've outsmarted him on a couple of things. So he's not happy. And plus it's a woman in charge. He's not fond of that idea. But he's also threatened Greenland, again, since Venezuela, since he took Maduro. So, was this the right thing to do? And does that now give carte blanche to every despot and every country in the world, actually, even without a despot, to say, well, I fancy that. I could take that. It's got some nice oil there or some nice minerals there. At least China, who has been doing this, by the way, for decades, does it kind of semi-diplomatically. They do it by offering money, lots of it, and then saying, right, now you owe me. Right? They do it. They've done it without the military. But this does now give China absolute right to go and take Taiwan. And it kind of gives Putin the right to carry on with what he's doing in Ukraine. So the world is worse since Donald Trump did this, in terms of uncertainty and the shifting of the global balance, and not in favour of democracy either. I'm just interested to what you think, what your take is on this. Give me a call. 0344 499 1000. You can text as well. Put the word talk in your message to 87222. Ali is in West Yorkshire. Hello, Ali. How are you? Happy New Year.
Hi, Petrie. Happy New Year, yeah.
Happy New Year to you. What do you make of this?
For about 2 minutes, for about 2 days.
Well, it wasn't even that, was it? God.
Yeah.
Yeah. Non-happy New Year. Interesting New Year. What do we think of this? I mean, it's undoubtedly international law has been broken. I mean, I've read the law that would allow anything similar to this, and it doesn't fit into those categories.
Well, Petrie, first I want to thank you, because you're literally the only presenter who gives me a chance to express my views and gives me free speech. So, and to be honest, my view, I'm probably one of the only few callers who has this view, but so like how America calls itself the world's policeman, well, in my view, I consider America the world's tyrant, frankly.
It's looking that way.
Well, yeah. A lot more people are coming around to the idea, but I've seen it for years. All the countries they've destroyed, and 68 countries since World War II they've bombed and destroyed.
Yeah, I mean, definitely Iraq, although Iraq has got some form of democracy, but Iraq, Afghanistan, I mean, you know, like you said, and regime
Palestine
changes
as
never
well.
work. Yeah. It's look, I think we're getting close to the point where we have to acknowledge that America is not the ally.
No. I mean, like, for example, if a country that calls itself the civilized democracy of the world, yeah, it doesn't recognize the International Criminal Court, it doesn't recognize the ICC, any human rights law, it doesn't recognize any of them. So
yeah, it's withdrawn from all of them, hasn't it?
Yeah, they don't. They don't accept international law or ICC and all of them, but yet they think they can go into Venezuela and grab Maduro and bring him back. I don't understand how they think that can work.
I didn't know that was even, you know, even if it was a police operation, that was even possible. I mean, well, then why hasn't somebody dashed into Russia and arrested Putin?
Well, exactly, yes, yeah.
I don't get it.
I think the main difference for me really is like bad countries like Russia, China, North Korea, Iran, all of them, none of them claim to be like bastions of human rights and democracy. That's the main difference, whereas America does. And
yeah,
yet
you're right.
It goes around bombing and destroying. I mean, what they've done in the Middle East, Petrie, we will never forget that. We'll never forgive what they've done in the Middle East. What they did in Iraq caused ISIS to come, and what they've done in Palestine with their 100% complicity behind Israel, we won't forgive or forget that. So, and now obviously they're doing it to Venezuela. So
yeah, and I don't think the people of Venezuela will benefit from this, but it'll all be about the oil, and I mean it's just horrific what's going on with the West Bank now as well. Absolutely horrific, and nobody's saying anything about it.
Nope, no.
And that to me is just. I don't know why we're well, I do know why we're kowtowing to America, because it holds all the cards, to use one of Donald Trump's expressions.
What I will say is, contrary to what all the right-wingers in this country want, if they do attack Greenland and take it over, I think we should side with Denmark and we should side with Europe. That's what I think.
Absolutely, because that is a red line. That is attacking Europe.
Exactly, yeah.
But he could do it in an afternoon. He could just put an American flag on it, and we're everybody. You know what Keir Starmer would be like? Oh well, you know. I just can't see anybody having the backbone to say no, enough. This is it now, because like I said, America for the last 70 years has been arming itself to the teeth, and we've all watched it and gone, oh good, they're spending that money, so we don't have to. It's our fault. We are weak. He knows we're weak, and so that's why he's going to try and take Greenland.
Exactly. I mean, I think you previously you had a debate about the special relationship, and I said then that the special relationship's total nonsense.
It's nonsense.
It's one-sided.
It's never been a good. Only since Reagan and Thatcher, they had the special relationship. They actually did have a close friendship. Since then, it's been a lie that we've been sold.
Yes, exactly. They don't respect us. They don't like us. Exactly. If more people in this country wake up to that idea, I think it would be a good thing. Frankly.
Yeah, so do Ali. I feel like a lone voice in the dark, because I just like, come on, can you not see what's happening here? Can we not? Is it time that we actually just said, look, Trump's America is not our friend.
Yeah. Well, exactly. Yeah.
It's not our friend. And the only time that Article 5 of NATO was ever triggered was for us to go into support of an illegitimate war in Iraq to support America.
Yes, yeah.
Only time.
Yeah. Exactly, yes, yeah.
Well, I do think, Ali, that the days of NATO and the UN are coming to their end, unfortunately. I
Yeah.
just can't see any other. I can't see how this is going to miraculously calm down.
Exactly. Just that point you made earlier with it, I think it's right. They're dividing the world into three. America gets all of Central and Latin America. Russia gets Europe, and then China gets Asia, the rest of the world. I do think that is happening.
Listen, I've read 1984, the book. You should read it, Ali.
Yeah, I have. Yes,
it's a guidebook.
Yeah.
It's
Exactly,
play
yes,
by
yeah.
play, and it's just like these three divided. Yeah. Anyway, Ali, lovely to talk to you, and you're always welcome on this program. So don't you worry about that.
Thank you so much.
All right, we might not always agree, but we always chat. Good to talk to you, Ali. Thank you very much indeed for calling in. Right, I've got to take a quick break, but I will be back to chat with Andrew in Warrington.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello, good morning. It's Talk Back with Petrie, and we're discussing what happened over the weekend with Venezuela and the US. Maduro was in court today in New York, and the next court date is March the 17th. And I don't know if it's been decided yet where he'll be tried. It could be New York or Florida. I think those are the choices. But it's unlikely to be. It's got to be at least a year, they think, until a jury sits down and actually judges Maduro on the crimes that have been stood against him. He says he's innocent, but then he would. And he hasn't asked for bail, which is interesting because he probably wouldn't have got it. But I just want to know what you think about it, what your take is on all of this. Matthew has said, this is snakebite. Oh, no. Hi, Petrie, this is snakebite. Trump really is part of the dictators' club now, and nobody is going to be able to stop him. Trump is behaving like the convicted felon that he is, especially when it comes to abducting people and trafficking them to other countries. He's referring there to ICE. Yes, that includes even someone like Maduro. That was not for the US to do. This whole mess is only going to make matters much worse. See what happens when convicted criminals are allowed to be in charge. Furthermore, the US, my country, has failed itself and the world by not revising the constitutional requirements to make it so that felons like Donald Trump are barred from ever serving as president. Thank you for that, Matthew. Ron in Sunderland said, I think the DEA did the arrest. They have over 80 officers worldwide and work with local police. This gives Trump the excuse for the arrests. He's keeping it separate from the military assistance. And that's from Ron in Sunderland. Yes, it was the DEA, or did Trump even say the FBI? I can't remember. And Benjamin has said, hit him where it hurts in the economy and American face. Boycott the 26 World Cup and the 28 Summer Olympic Games in LA. I know many who worship the game will hate that, but we can still do something much like we did with Russia and Ukraine. Completely alienate the USA with the few ways we still can, and we need to think outside the box. Boycott Amazon, Facebook, etc. I don't buy anything American anymore. I just made that decision when Trump came into power, so I've had to work my way around my shopping list to find alternatives. It can be done. I know it's only me and it's just a tiny little protest, but if we all did it, Benjamin's right, it would really hit him where it hurts in the pocket. Or actually it would hit the American people, which is sad. Right, let's talk to Andrew now, who's in Warrington. Andrew, good morning.
Petrie, good morning and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you as well.
Can I just say that I missed you on New Year's Eve? You were on last New Year's Eve.
I was, yeah.
Yeah, and I was looking forward to listening to you, but unfortunately you weren't on.
Yeah, sorry.
So, well, don't apologise. As long as you had a good New Year, it was my disappointment that
I had a lovely New Year. I went to bed early.
So did I.
And I was only woken up by the fireworks because the dogs were barking. So it was wonderful.
Yes,
Perfect.
I heard a few bangs and then it was all over. And thank God, I sing from the same hymn sheet as you, so that's good. Anyway, what I wanted to say was I agree with Sheldon and I agree with Ali, your previous callers, and what I wanted to voice is in my own cynical, peculiar way. It's like a big game of Monopoly. I think we forget that obviously Trump and Putin met in Alaska several months ago. I think they've had a big chin wag and like a boys' club or whatever. And I think I think Donald's come away thinking, well, yes, if my mate Vlad can do it, so can I. And the fact that he's sort of in the West, maybe they've been a little bit more smart and used the drug influence. I'm not talking about in particular the president or the leader of Venezuela, because I don't know much about it. But to me, it seems just like a big game of Monopoly. And I thought it was an interesting point that you raised about China. I know they have a different approach, like you said, in a kind of monetary always back type of thing. And
they've been taking over the world slowly, and all the mineral rights.
They have a big influence in Africa, from what I've
all the minerals.
read,
anywhere where there's minerals, anywhere where there's oil or minerals.
Yeah. But as you say, they seem to be a little bit more subtle. If that's
nonetheless terrifying, because their sphere of influence is huge across the globe.
But they're subtle in their way, unlike obviously Putin, and then obviously now, Donny's decided to.
He's decided. I think he's decided to run the whole of the Americas.
Yes, I do. I absolutely agree with you. And I think the Greenland thing is just absolutely abhorrent.
Is that a red line?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But what do we do? How do we fight? Even if all of us in NATO got together. Look, Turkey's got a marvellous military, right?
Yes.
And it depends what Erdogan says next, because if he condemns Trump might listen to Erdogan, because he's the one with the most powerful, second most powerful military in NATO. And we always forget that about Turkey. Turkey has a massive military, right? Mm-hmm. It is huge. And so in my geopolitical world, I would be interested as to what Erdogan says. Because he will back the Venezuelans, but will he call it an illegal act? And that's the interesting point.
Well, that's the politics with the small p, isn't it? That's how they, in my opinion, that's how they move and banter and jockey whatever you want to call it. And I think...
But Trump needs to be scared of someone.
He does.
And it might be Erdogan.
He's the biggest bully in the playground.
Yeah, and it could, be, oddly, left of field, be Turkey. It could.
It could be, but I also think as well, you mentioned Canada. I don't think Canada is going to roll over.
No, but they've made the same mistake we've made. They have not armed. They have relied on Trump. They've relied on America.
Agreed, sorry. But I think I mean, if we're talking about a force of power, as in soldiers or whatever you want to call it, taking over a country, which is obviously what they've done in Venezuela. I think we'd be surprised, but that obviously remains to be seen, and God forbid it should ever happen.
I can't see, once Venezuela realised that their evil leader has been replaced by the same evil leader in a dress.
Oh yes, absolutely.
And they realise that America is talking about liberating them of 80% of their oil, when oil makes up 90-odd% of their GDP. Yes. I can't see them this continuing to be peace. I can't see it.
Well, I think I read somewhere that he likes everything in dollars, so he will basically see as as you said, a puppet, and the country will just become part of his
America.
Portfolio. And as you said, Mexico, Cuba, what's next? What's next for Russia? China do it very subtly. And suddenly you've got three big players who control the world. It's such a small world now,
I know, and that is my fear. And every day I go, no, come on, Petrie, don't be ridiculous. And then I look at what happens and I go, oh God.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right.
So sitting there going, the way this is playing out is, and I can't see what can stop Trump apart from the Grim Reaper. I can't see it. I can't see.
No, I can't. But obviously that's time in history, and we have to hope that the pressures. I don't know what the answer is. I can't answer that question, other than I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing with you.
Yeah.
In as much as
it's kind of hysterical laughter, isn't it?
It is.
It's not like we're finding this fun. It's just like, what the hell is happening?
Yeah, I'm opening a bottle of wine, put my feet up, and good night, Vienna.
Absolutely, I'm with you 100%. Wonderful to talk to you, Andrew. You take care. Right, here's some good news, maybe. A little bit. Here at Talk, we're welcoming in the new year by giving away a massive 26 grand. What better way to kick off 2026 than with the chance to win some serious cash? 26 grand. It's our biggest New Year cash giveaway, and it could be yours. Here's how to enter. For the chance to win, text TALK to 83338. That's right, isn't it? 83338. Text costs £2.50 plus your standard network rate, or you can call 0343 423 9761. I'll give you that number again because it's not on the screen. 0343 423 9761. Lines close at 12 p.m. on the 9th of January. That's when you'll need to answer your phone if it rings. It's in the UK and it's 18 plus only. This is a network promotion. For full terms and conditions at talksport.com/win. So for your chance to win, text TALK to 83338 for 26 grand. That'd be a good way to start the year, wouldn't it? Good luck.
across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hello there, this is Talk, and this is Talk Back with me, Petrie, and I'm here until the top of the hour. So you've still got a chance to make a call if that's what you'd like to do. We are talking about Venezuela and Trump, and there's this gunboat diplomacy. This is a really good statement actually here. No country is safe after Trump's anarchy in Venezuela. Global order has collapsed. Gunboat diplomacy is back in business with Donald Trump ordering the abduction of Nicolas Maduro and his declaration that the US will in future control Venezuela and its vast oil reserves. We're returning to the world of 19th century imperialist states with the greatest military power, stripping those without the power to resist of their political independence and economic assets. Trump might equally use the allegations against Maduro of supporting narco-terrorism against Colombia and Mexico, which, unlike Venezuela, really are major producers of cocaine and fentanyl, respectively. Trump scarcely bothers with the traditional US justifications, such as the introduction of democracy, used in the past to justify regime change in Iraq and Afghanistan. He clearly states that the US will in future rule 31 million Venezuelans directly or indirectly, but there is no doubt about who will be in charge. The one accusation that cannot be made against Trump is that he conceals his motives and intentions. Nope. He's very open about that. We all know what he's doing, and we all know that when he says he's going to do something, he actually follows through, which is unusual, isn't it, for world leaders? But that only becomes worrying when he turns his attention, well, it's worrying now, but he turns his attention to Greenland or to Canada, both of whom are in NATO. And so the NATO alliance was never set up. It didn't have a caveat in it saying what happened if a NATO country attacked another NATO country. I don't think that's in there anywhere because it was not expected to ever happen. But if he takes Greenland, that is what's happened. And I don't know who's going to stand up to him because Canada, Europe, we've all let him get away with everything so far, and also we don't have the military power. Even collectively we couldn't take on Trump unless Turkey's going to be the interesting one in this, I think, to see what Erdogan has to say. Let's wait and see. Gary has said the unilateral raid violated the UN's Charter's ban on using force against sovereign states without Security Council approval or self-defence justification. Yeah, there is no... Well, he's going to say it's against drugs, but we know it wasn't. It sets a dangerous precedent that could encourage similar actions by powers like Russia or China. Trump does nothing unless it involves money and power. He's a fascist dictator minus the tater. Gary Glasgow. I like that. Eddie has pointed out that on this show we had Mark Almond and Jim Dale. Well, Mark Almond from, was it Soft Cell? Yeah. And Jim Dale from the Carry On movies, but they're just their names. Who knows who's next, Eddie? Maybe I'll get a Donald Trump or a Vladimir Putin. That would be good. This one from Ben says, I've been dying to ask where all the former American presidents at times like this are. Where's Obama, Clinton, Bush? I'm always amazed when Trump does something as outrageous as this that his predecessors are always silent. Do they not care about what he's doing in the name of the office they once held? It is such a good question. And I just think that past presidents don't tend... Have you ever known a past president to get involved in any of the other? I don't think they do. I don't think it's not like past prime ministers. Once they've done their 2 years and they're out, I don't think they have a voice. I mean, Obama still talks a little bit, actually. Obama does go about, but you don't see him up front on the news organisations because the news organisations are scared of Trump and so they probably wouldn't let him on. That's probably why we're not seeing it. But I know that Obama does speak out against it, but it's a very good question. And this one says, well done, Petrie. You've spoke for many of us who are pretty appalled by what Trump did, and thank you for standing up to Jacob, especially with your point on Greenland and reminding Americans that the only time Article 5 was used was in wake of 9/11. Yeah. Thank you. Right, let's take a call now from Kevin, who's in Basingstoke. Hello, Kevin. Good morning. Happy New Year.
Good morning. Happy New Year.
How are you? All right.
I'm fine, thanks. No, Trump hasn't done the right thing. I mean, he doesn't do the right thing normally, does he? I mean, he's done it for oil. If there was no oil there, this would never have happened. He's not doing it because he cares about the people suffering. I mean, he's cut foreign aid, which helps, prevents people from starving, vaccinations. People are catching AIDS because he scrapped all the AIDS programs.
Yeah.
I mean, he's cut affordable health care in America. He's cut food stamps in America. So he doesn't even care about his own people. So, I mean, look what he's done with tariffs. Tariffs have damaged his trading partners, his allies. I mean, it's damaged the US and it's damaged other countries as well.
Yeah, he keeps saying that he's taken in all this money. He hasn't taken it in. That's Americans paying that money. And nobody corrects him. Nobody says, no, sir, that money's not coming in from another country. That is a charge that we pass on to American consumers.
Well, he's taken control of the media, hasn't he? He said if you say anything against him, he'll shut them down.
Yeah, he'll sue them and shut them down.
I mean, it's not even about drugs because there was he released those people that
the president of Honduras.
No, there was somebody in prison in America.
Yeah, that was the president of Honduras. That was in there for 40 years for trafficking drugs. I think he pardoned him. Yeah.
Yes. So, I mean, he released all those people that were rioting, wasn't he?
Yeah, January 6ers. They were all released. I mean, this is the thing, isn't it? That he can say, look, I'm going into Venezuela to save the people of Venezuela, but we know that is not true, because there are other dictators around the world that he kowtows to, he sucks up to, like Putin and Kim, not Xi yet, but Kim Jong-un, he called him my little rocket man.
Well, he did say he was going to be a dictator from day one, and everybody said, "Oh no!"
Oh, how funny! Yeah.
Yeah, don't say that. He's just as Trump being Trump.
Yeah.
But the thing is with
but he always says he always says. He can't call him a liar, right? I mean, apart from apart from I'm the peace president and I've solved all these wars, that's abjectly lying, right? But he when he says I'm going to do this, people go, no, he won't, and he does.
The thing is, we can't stand up to him because he's such a man baby. He will just he will probably just say, well, desert Ukraine, put more tariffs on us, which would damage us. And also, the thing is with Trump, he has got the strongest military in the world. But the thing is, he sells military hardware to NATO countries, which brings in billions to the US. So if he damages NATO, he'd be damaging himself. And a lot of the money that he makes from selling this hardware gets reinvested into technology into hardware. So, and also pensions, servicemen's pensions and healthcare comes out of the military budget in America, which is hundreds of billions.
Yeah.
So they do spend a lot, but we in the UK, in other NATO countries, we have better, systems that pay for things like pensions for the military and healthcare. But in America, it all comes out of their defence budget.